You're looking at Baltimore Memorial Stadium, where the birds of
Virginia. Good luck now.
ABC's Monday Night Baseball live from Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. Two teams battling for their divisional titles, the Montreal Expos and the Cincinnati Reds. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Chevrolet and Chevrolet dealers coast to coast. By Texaco, with over 66,000 employees doing their best at their jobs to keep your trust. By Allstate Insurance Company. You're in good hands with Allstate. And by Extra Invitation. It's Gillette's Best Shave at a buy now price. We have a very overcast evening in Cincinnati, a definite threat of rain, but it does look like we will get this one started on time. Good crowd will look on. Big game in both the East and the West as Montreal comes in to face Cincinnati. And a look at the standings in the Western Division. It's a two-team race right now with Houston on top. However, the Astros have lost 4 in a row. The Reds have just swept a weekend series from the Mets, trail by only a game and a half as we hear thunder now in the background. And we've got some thunder in the National League East because as we look at the standings there, it is still a 5-team battle in the National League Eastern Division. Montreal has won 4 in a row. They are even with Pittsburgh in the loss column. They are 2 games behind. The Cubs this afternoon defeated the Dodgers at Wrigley Field and trail by only 3.5. Hello again, everybody. I'm Al Michaels, and just as we come on and greet you, it has started to pour here in Cincinnati, but it is a stadium in which we have a lot of rain and have had a lot of rain since it opened in 1970, and yet there's been only one rainout at Riverfront Stadium since it opened on June 30th, 1970. So somehow, some way, they will probably get this one in. Whether it will start on time or not now, we do not know. But let's talk about these two teams. First of all, the Cincinnati Reds, a team that has undergone a transition of sorts. Pete Rose, of course, played out his option here and then signed with Philadelphia. What really shocked everybody last year was following that, the firing of Sparky Anderson. John McNamara has come in. He has done a most acceptable job and has won the support of the great majority of fans. Ray Knight has done a marvelous job at third base for Cincinnati. It's a team that used to be dominated by a pat lineup, the Morgans and Perez's and Benches and Roses, and now it seems everybody is contributing, and that's a statement that was made the other night by Johnny Bench, who has been here since late 1968. Bench saying that in all of his years in Cincinnati, he has never been on a team in which more men have contributed. Working with me tonight, again, Bob Uecker. And, Bob, that's certainly a statement that I don't think anybody can refute. The names on the backs of the uniforms have changed, but the Reds are right there where they have been throughout the 70s in a position near the top or at the top.
Well, I think, Al, if there's been a dramatic change, a more dramatic change in any ball club other than Cincinnati, I don't know about it. I think you brought up a very important point before when you said in years past, Cincinnati was that kind of a ball club where they had 8 people in the lineup that could sting you, take you out of the ballpark at any time, and put a ball game out of reach very, very early. I don't think pitching was ever one of the things that really bothered anybody on this Cincinnati ball club when they were the kind of club that hit a lot of home runs. But as you said, there's so many different people now, the Paul Blairs, the A.D. Cruzes, the Ray Knights, so many. Dave Collins is one of the guys that has really contributed, Al, to this ball club the way they are going now. And an incident happened here yesterday. You see Dave Collins. Here's a ball hit by Gil Flores early in the ball game. Collins makes a try for the ball. It hits on the artificial surface here and bounces by him. Collins not giving chase right away. There you see Flores around second base. Here's Geronimo coming to make that play in right center field. And Flores scores easily with an inside the park home run. Here's a guy that takes the game very, very seriously today, Al. He's very happy to be here in Cincinnati. You can see how upset he was. Here's a ball hit in the 5th inning. He came right back. Dave Collins hitting a double to the left field corner. He said if he had to do one thing after making that mistake on that inside the park home run, it was get a base hit to get something going in the ball game yesterday. Cincinnati, Al, trying to catch Houston. Only a game and a half behind. Here's the ball hit by Concepcion. And the Reds, as I said, coming from behind in the ball game yesterday. There's Collins scoring to tie the game at 2-2. Here's Ray Knight, another guy that has figured very, very prominently in the Cincinnati lineup. Might have been an unpopular move when Pete Rose left, but this guy has done the job at third base, Al. There's a double for Ray Knight. Cincinnati coming from behind. There's Dave Collins again, hitting a ball to the wall in deep left field to score the winning run yesterday to redeem himself after that inside the home run by Gil Flores. There's the winning run scoring. 6-5 Cincinnati wins yesterday.
And Collins will be in the lineup tonight with the left-hander working for Montreal. We will see Collins instead of in right field or in left field, the positions he played yesterday at first base. The thunder continuing, but right now it is not raining very hard, so we're hopeful that this one will not be delayed very long. We've talked about Cincinnati and the fact that they did have a pat lineup through many years earlier in this decade. The Montreal Expos in town tonight, they are a team that has had a pat lineup almost all season long. They've had only one key injury. That was Chris Spire. He missed about 3 weeks. Otherwise, they've gone with a basic 8 out there every day. The thing that shocked everybody at the beginning of the year is they have a fella, Dave Cash. They picked him up as a free agent 2 years ago from Philadelphia, a second baseman, pay him $300,000 a year. Dick Williams put him on the bench at the beginning of the season, said Rodney Scott is my second baseman. Here it is 6 weeks to go in the season. Rodney Scott is still the second baseman.
Well, he's still the second baseman now, and if you talk about a gracious loser and a guy who I think could play on this Montreal ball club, or a lot of other ball clubs for that matter, Dave Cash. You just saw a shot of the two. They are still very, very friendly. Rodney Scott says that Dave Cash is the guy per man who has helped him more, Al, as far as playing hitters, moving around on the infield. To show you how frustrated Dave Cash is, Al, he's talked about going to play winter baseball. I know he'd love to be playing now this season coming down to the final month. The Montreal Expos are really in it, only 2 games behind in the Eastern Division. Cash says he'd love to be playing, but he's only been to bat 40 sometimes, Al, 42 I believe to be exact. He says he's going to go play winter ball. How many times do you see a guy like Dave Cash making $300,000 a year going to play winter baseball?
Well, somebody might pick him up if he can't find a spot with Montreal next year because he's still a valuable player, a man who can do a lot of things. There's the matchup tonight here in Cincinnati. It'll be Dan Chetzader on the mound for Montreal. He's 8-4 against Freddie Norman, looking for his 100th lifetime victory. We'll be right back.
I got an invitation, but not in the mail. I grab my invitation every morning without fail. I'm shaving close and comfortable, on that you can bet, since I got an invitation from Gillette.
Now, for a limited time only, get the special edition Atra Invitation for less than $1.50. The same pivoting head and face-hugging action that made Atra Gillette's best shave.
At a buy now price. Atra Invitation from Gillette.
A lot of road-weary folks who have had their fill of bumpy riding come to Firestone, the place to get smooth riding Monroe shock absorbers. And Monroe-matics installed by Firestone carry Monroe's famous limited warranty, honored at 12,000 Firestone dealers and stores. So put your car in Monroe shocks at Firestone.
Monroe-matic shocks, now just $10.88 at Firestone stores and participating dealers.
Why should you buy a Black & Decker string trimmer? 1, it cuts down grass and weeds in nothing flat. 2, it has a remarkable feature that lets the precise amount of line out automatically. 3, and perhaps the best reason of all, is that when you buy a Black & Decker string trimmer, or hedge trimmer, or edger, you get one thing Black & Decker is famous for.
A tough power tool that won't let you down.
And that's why you should buy a Black & Decker string trimmer.
Back at Riverfront Stadium, after a brief rain delay, about 10 or 15 minutes, the Reds have taken the field. Freddie Norman is loosening up for the Reds. And here is the Montreal lineup that Norman will face tonight in quest for his 100th lifetime win. It will be Warren Cromartie leading off in left field. Rodney Scott, who's done the job all year at second base, at second and in the number 2 spot in the order, with Andre Dawson batting third in center field. He's been hot lately. The former Red, Tony Perez, coming back home at first base, hitting fourth. Gary Carter, back of the plate, hitting in the 5 spot. Ellis Valentine has a 5-game hitting streak. He's in right field, batting 6th. Larry Parrish, leading hitter on the club at .307 at third base. The shortstop is the veteran Chris Spire, batting 8th. And on the mound for Montreal tonight will be left-hander Dan Schatzeder. The Reds out on the field. There they are defensively.
Defensively, Dave Collins at first with Joe Morgan at second. Dave Concepcion, the shortstop, and Ray Knight at third. In the outfield, Foster, Blair, and Cruz left to right. Johnny Bench doing the catching. And Fred Norman, after career win number 100 tonight. It's been unbelievably tough here at Riverfront Stadium. He has won 51, lost 25, 6-0 against Montreal as a member of the Cincinnati Reds.
So Freddie Norman gets set to face Warren Cromartie, Rodney Scott, and Andre Dawson. You just said that Freddie has never lost to Montreal as a member of the Reds. Overall, he is 9-4 against them. The pitch is low and outside because Norman has had stints with the Cardinals, the Cubs, the Dodgers, and the Padres before finding a home here in Cincinnati in 1973. Line over Morgan's outstretched glove and into right field for a base hit. Warren Cromartie starts things with a single in the first inning, and it will bring up Rodney Scott. Scott hitting .238. In the lineup every day, won the job in spring training, relegating Dave Cash to, in essence, a pinch hitting role. And Scott was down in the low twos for quite some time, so his average .238 won't necessarily dazzle you, but he's been hot of late in the past 4 or 5 weeks. Cromartie goes on Norman's first pitch, which is fouled away, 0-1. So the Expos come out running in the first inning. And of course, when they run against the Reds, you're running against one of the best arms in baseball. And tonight we'll see two of the best arms in baseball, Bench and Gary Carter.
I was just going to say the same thing, Al. Two of the premier catchers in baseball. I love to watch both of them throw, of course. Bench for so many years here in Cincinnati, but Carter over the last couple of years with Montreal has really come on.
Cromartie at first base with 5 steals this year. The pitch is hit to right field. Edie Cruz is there to make the catch, and there's one away. One out in the first inning, and Andre Dawson comes up, hitting .270, 18 home runs, and 68 runs batted in. Remarked last week when we had Montreal on one of our games from Houston, you look at their averages, and they're very similar as you get down the lineup. You've got Dawson at .270, Perez at .278, Carter at .268, Valentine .281, Cromartie .269. So it hasn't been one man who's done it this year, but a lot of consistency throughout the lineup. Their leading hitter, Larry Parrish, bats 7th. A strike to Dawson, 0-1.
On the other hand, Al, you talk about this Cincinnati ball club, and we talked about it at the top of the telecast, the fact that they're not a big power ball club anymore. You know, in years past, I think fans used to sit and wonder when it was going to happen, what inning the big home run was going to come, and when they were going to win the ball game. Not so anymore.
Dawson with a base hit into left field as Cromartie stops at second. The 2 hits in the inning for Montreal. Norman on the ropes here early, and the hand builds for Tony Perez, who acknowledges it. Tony traded by the Reds to Montreal prior to the 1977 season. What an ovation he got the first time he came in an enemy uniform. A very popular man, a man of extreme class, well-liked not only among his teammates here, but among the city, the populace in general, and they remember it.
And I think the same thing holds true for Montreal, Al. They love him in Montreal. He's really produced.
Perez, it's a bouncing ball to the hole, and that's through for a base hit. Cromartie rounding third, and he'll come in to score, and going to third is Dawson. So Montreal leads 1-0.
There you see Tony Perez at first base. He got a breaking ball from Norman, and he hit this ball inside out, it appeared. There's a breaking ball down and inside, and Perez went the opposite way with a base hit to right field, and the Expos on top by a score of 1-0. That's RBI number 58 on the year for Tony Perez.
Gary Carter the batter. The Expos going after Norman early. Freddie would run into trouble a lot in the past. He's got a screwball, which is his prime pitch, but he'd throw it a lot early. He'd sometimes get behind on the count, and as a consequence, other teams would take a lot of pitches. But Norman of late has been going to his fastball and his slider more often to try to get ahead, and the Expos know it, and they've been going after his first or second pitch.
many times now with a pitcher like Fred Norman who throws a lot of off-speed stuff. They're not overpowering. They have to be so fine, and they have a tendency to pitch from behind because of that fact. They're always nibbling at the corners, inside, outside.
Fouled away in the count of 1-1.
And it's kind of tough. It makes it tough on your infield, Al. Although, as we said before, Norman's had great success here at Riverfront Stadium, but he's been that kind of a pitcher throughout his career. He'll pitch from behind. He'll make you hit his pitch. I think that's what it really boils down to, Al. He'll try to make you hit his pitch.
0-1 the count on Carter. One out in the first inning. It's 1-0 Montreal. The strike one pitch to Carter is fouled away, and the count 0-2. 2 on, 1 out. There's Andre Dawson at third, and Tony Perez at first. Freddie Norman has pitched very well of late. Today, incidentally, is his 37th birthday. And he seeks his 100th career win. Man who started in pro ball in 1961. Reds infield, double play depth. The 0-2 pitch is fouled away again. So Freddie mainly sticking with the hard stuff and a few breaking balls to this point, and eschewing the screwball, at least at the outset, and the Expos going after him.
I wouldn't be surprised now to see him come with a screwball, Al, down low and away from Gary Carter. He's thrown him 3 straight fastballs, and the location that he is trying to pitch to Carter, he doesn't have that kind of fastball.
There's a screwball hit in the air to deep left field. Going back is Foster. He has a play, but this will score a run. That's the second out, but Dawson can trot in, and it's 2-0 Montreal.
Again, he had bad location, Al. I just kind of figured that after 3 fastballs, we talked about the screwball being his bread and butter pitch, but he came upstairs and Carter got enough wood on it to knock in a run, hit that ball to deep left field with Foster making the play. Here's a bad pitch now. This is bad location for an off-speed pitch. There it is, way upstairs. That's an upstairs pitch. Anything from the knees below, that's where you like to have the screwball. That pitch was above the knees, and Carter nailed it.
2-0 Montreal. As you look at Ellis Valentine, he's waiting in the batter's box, but he'll wait a little bit longer because Johnny Bench has gone to the mound with Freddie Norman. So Norman, who hopes to blow out a few candles tonight in celebration, trails 2-0. In the first inning, Montreal coming in with a 4-game winning streak. They won Wednesday night in Houston to capture the final game of the series in the Dome, and then after a day off Thursday, they swept the Braves over the weekend. Valentine hits a high fly ball to shallow center field. Paul Blair coming in underneath it, and that's that for Montreal. In the first inning, the Expos come up with 2 runs, 3 hits, and leave a man. And so after a half inning at Riverfront, it's Montreal 2 and Cincinnati coming up. Dan Schatzeder will be on the mound for Montreal tonight. A left-hander who has never beaten the Reds in his brief career. The lineup he faces is comprised of Dave Collins, the leadoff man. At first base is Danny Dreesen is on the bench with a lefty going. Joe Morgan struggling this season. At second base, batting second, Dave Concepcion, hitting .297, bats third at short. George Foster, who has missed several games this year with injuries. Nonetheless, he's driven in 73 runs, the cleanup hitter. Johnny Bench, batting fifth with 13 homers and 56 RBIs. What a job Ray Knight has done replacing Pete Rose at third, bat sixth. Hector Cruz, picked up from the Giants in late June in right field. Paul Blair, released by the Yankees, picked up by the Reds early in the year in center. And there's Freddie Norman, who staggered through the first inning with Montreal leading 2-0. The Expos out on the field defensively.
For Montreal, the left fielder, Warren Cromartie, singled and scored a run his first time up. The center fielder for Montreal, Andre Dawson. And the right fielder is Ellis Valentine. He leads the Expos in home runs with 20. On the infield, Larry Parrish with 17 home runs at third base. The shortstop is Chris Spire. Rodney Scott been playing well at second base. And the first baseman, Tony Perez. He knocked in the first run for Montreal tonight. Gary Carter is doing the catching. And pitching for Montreal, left-hander Dan Schatzeder. He has won 8, lost 4, and his lifetime mark against Cincinnati no wins against 2 losses. He's making his 3rd appearance this year against Cincinnati.
In the first inning, Dave Collins to lead off. Dave Collins, in his 2nd year with the Reds, he was picked up after the 77 season in a deal that sent relief pitcher Shane Rawley to the Seattle Mariners. Rawley, just off the disabled list, has done a good job. He's been a key man in the Mariner bullpen. And Dave Collins has been a very key man for the Reds this season. The pitch up high, ball 1. One reason that Collins has gotten to play quite a bit is the fact that Ken Griffey is gone for the year. The Reds' regular right fielder underwent knee surgery last week. 2-0 the count. So Collins and Edie Cruz have been seeing a lot of action in the outfield. And now with the left-hander Schatzeder going tonight, they sit Dan Dreesen down, a left-handed batter, and put Collins with his hot bat in at first base. Fouled away, and the count 2-1.
That's one of the real big changes in this Cincinnati ball club, Al, and you were here for years doing the games on a daily basis. Years ago, they stuck 8 people out there. I don't care if there was 4 guys throwing on the mound. The same 8 were there day in, day out, 162 a year. Once in a while, Johnny Bench would get a rest from behind the plate, but they'd stick him in the outfield someplace or at first base.
Sparky Anderson could send a lineup card to the printer before the season. They fill it in.
That's right.
I know who's playing. 3-1 the count on Collins with Joe Morgan waiting on deck. 2-0 Expos, bottom of the first. Bouncing ball hit the spire. And they get Collins, who has good speed. Dave once ran a 9.600. 1 out. Joe Morgan is the batter. You'll hear some boos interspersed among the applause when Morgan stands in. It's been that kind of a year for Joe. Very un-Morgan-like figures. Joe hitting .241, 7 home runs, 25 runs batted in. He's missed 30 games. He's played in only 95 of 125, and in several of those 95, he's been only a pinch hitter. A strike, 0-1. Morgan bothered by an assortment of injuries this season, taking up and in the count 1-1. And Joe feels that that's the main reason he's not having the type of year that people normally expect from him. Last year, basically the same thing. He was bothered by cold stomach muscles all season. Had an off year. Fouled at the plate, and the count of 1-2. The Reds fully expected that Morgan would be the odds-on candidate to win comeback of the year this year, and it looked like it in April. Look, he had 329 during that month, but look at June, 191, and 154 this month. 1-2 the count. Morgan, down he goes. Morgan is gone. He strikes out as Fred Brocklander gave it a little bit of emphasis, and that really bothered Morgan.
He did, Al. Here's a good fastball by Schatzeder around the knees, and you'll see Brocklander. Well, we didn't show it. There's Joe Morgan. He's upset at the call. You know, it's not bad enough sometimes when you get called out on strikes, but there are some umpires who really like to pull back on you. I mean, they jump up in the air. They may leave the ground 3-4 feet sometimes, and it upsets you. It bothers you. Guys working the play when I hit led the league in high jumps.
Dave Concepcion digs outside. 1-0. It's like adding insult to injury, and that's about as upset as you'll see Morgan. Joe saying, you know, it's that far outside. In for a strike. Down 1-1. The replay looked like it was a strike.
Yeah, I thought it was a good pitch, Al, around the knees. I don't know if Joe's talking about it outside or inside. The pitch appeared to be a strike to me.
Paul Blair trying to suppress a grin.
Yeah, usually when that happens, Al, the guy next to you says, geez, you just missed him. Stay with him.
2-1. It's a loose group. That's Junior Kennedy also in the picture. 2 balls, 1 strike to count. 2 out, bases empty. 3-1 the count.
Well, when you come in after a pitch like that, Al, and you ask some guy sitting next, especially a guy like Blair, you've argued, you're hot, you're mad. You ask him, so where'd you think the pitch was? He said, I thought it was right down the pipe. Just good.
It's a loose group right now. The Reds have been hot. We Remember, they were 10 games back not too long ago. They pulled to within 1.5. In for a strike in the count 3-2. Reds only a game and a half back of Houston. The Astros tonight are in New York. Montreal is 2 back of Pittsburgh. The Pirates tonight at home against San Francisco and trailing the Giants 4-3 in the third inning. To right field, Valentine is there. And down go the Reds. Wisconsin retires the Reds in order. End of 1. It's 2-0 Montreal. Back in Cincinnati after this word from our local station.
Saturday, a movie preview of a new fall adventure series, Heart to Heart.
Right now, this week, Anders Clothing Clearance Center for nationally advertised and designer labels is having a huge preseason early bird discount sale. Nationally advertised corduroy vested suits, unbelievable at $59.90. Yes, corduroy suits additionally discounted, now at $59.90. All wool designer label vested suits, $99.90. Sport coats, $29.90. Dress slacks, $9.90. Early bird additional discounts for extra savings now at Anders.
I'm Jim Fix, and I wrote the complete book of running. In chapter 14, I discuss food, and specifically on page 163, the need for fruits, nuts, whole grain cereals, and avoiding highly refined foods. That describes this cereal exactly. Quaker 100% natural. It's got the natural food energy we runners need. So when Quaker asked if I'd endorse it, I said, endorse it? Hey, I've been eating it for 7 years.
Quaker 100% natural.
It's not one thing, it's another. Now it's a transmission. I hate you!
At AMCO, we'll put you and your car back together again. Very often the same day. And when we give you a price, it's a firm price. At AMCO, we'll put you and your car back together again.
I take back everything I said about it.
There are 7 locally owned AMCO centers in Baltimore and in Bel Air, Aberdeen, Laurel, and Annapolis. The guys and gals of AMCO.
The liberated woman on
Next week on ABC's Monday Night Baseball, you will see one of those games. Either Houston at Montreal, Cincinnati at Philadelphia, or Milwaukee at Kansas City. All figure to be very important battles. Next Monday night, over most of these ABC stations, check your local listings. Second inning, Al Michaels and Bob Uecker. In Cincinnati, it's 2-0 Montreal with Larry Parrish leading off against Freddie Norman. In for a strike, 0-1. Parrish having his best year. Larry hitting .307, 17 home runs, 54 RBIs. Drill to left field. Foster going back and looking up. She's gone. He hit it out in a hurry. Home run number 18 for Larry Parrish, and Montreal leads 3-0. So it has not been the happiest of birthday beginnings for Freddie Norman.
There's Parrish, number 18. He hit a bullet out of here, a low fastball. Norman started him off with a fastball for a strike. He came right back downstairs with a fastball, and here's what happened. Pitch down below the knees. Parrish went right down and got it. George Scott just turned around and watched it right out of here. Hit a line drive. Montreal on top, 3-0. 4 base hits now off Norman. We're in the second.
3-0 Expos, and the batter is Chris Spire. Low for a ball, 1-0. Spire hitting .219. He's been bothered with back problems this season. Spent time on the disabled list. He's the only regular to have missed a substantial amount of time this season. The count 1-1. And even so, despite being on the disabled list, Spire has only missed 24 games all year. 2-1. There's Frank Pastore, a rookie, working in the Cincinnati bullpen. So many teams this year, it's been the year of the injury in both leagues, but Montreal has avoided them for the most part. Grounded to short, Dave Concepcion guns down Spire. 1 down.
It's really true, Al. I don't think I can remember a year in baseball, both leagues, American and National, when there have been more injuries, and not the kind that keep you out for a day or two. I'm talking about the major injuries. I think we've talked about this before, the rotator cuff injuries. The Cincinnati Reds losing Griffey just a few days ago, out for the rest of the year. Larry Heisel with Milwaukee, due to come back, hopefully, in September. Doug Rao with the Dodgers. So many. Hal McRae. It's been unbelievable this year.
The pitch in for a strike, and it's infected every ball club. The Phillies, look at their problems, and it's one reason the Phillies are in trouble right now with time running out. They've had a lot of key people on the disabled list. They're pitching. Danny Ozark is trying to hold that staff together with paste and glue. But the Expos have been very fortunate. Strike one pitch. Taken low in the count, 1-1. Schatzader hitting .237, so Danny can swing the bat. One home run and 8 runs batted in. Joe Morgan will gather this one in. 2 out. Bases empty. We're in the second inning. The game delayed briefly at the beginning by rain. Montreal leading 3-0.
Now, when you talk about a guy like Fred Norman, and as we said before, he's had very, very great success here at Riverfront Stadium. But in the early part of a ball game, if he is not right, and he has to be right because he's not overpowering, he doesn't have the fastball that he can throw by people. Most of his stuff is off-speed stuff, curveball. He'll use a curveball for a change. He's got a good screwball when he's right. But when he's not right, he's meat.
Freddie, you talk about guys that bounced around as Cromartie stands in. Norman was everywhere between 1961 and 1973. He didn't miss too many spots. Hit into center for a base hit. Ball Blair to get it back in, and Cromartie is 2 for 2. So that's 5 hits off the Reds left-hander as Rodney Scott gets set to face Norman. When Freddie came up, he started at Shreveport in 61, and with Binghamton and Lewiston and Kansas City and Salt Lake City and Fort Worth and Chicago, Albuquerque, Spokane, Los Angeles, St. Louis, Tulsa, San Diego. Year after year, it was a different spot, and then the Reds picked him up in 1973, and it's been home since.
Sounds like Don Little.
Sounds like Bob Hewlett.
Wait a minute, Alfalfa. Oh, wait a minute.
In for a strike. Oh, you didn't last that long. Cromartie at first base. 2 down. Strike one pitch on the way. Pop foul back out of play. And the count 0-2. Scott, switch hitter. Rodney is a right-handed hitter this year. Has had good success. He's batting .293 this way. 226 when you turn him around. There goes Cromartie, and the pitch is hit in the air to right field. Cruz fades on it and makes the catch to retire the side. In the inning, a run on a home run by Parrish. 2 hits, 1 left. At the end of an inning and a half, Montreal 3, Cincinnati 0.
Most ball players dream about making it to the Hall of Fame. But I'd be satisfied if people just remember me as the guy with the great chewing tobacco. That's Levi Garrett, my brand. Sure, I've tried a lot of other brands in my time, but once you taste this fresh Levi Garrett flavor, you'll see why it's one of the fastest growing brands of loose-leaf chewing tobacco in the country. After all, fame is a fleeting thing, but with Levi Garrett, you're always a winner.
Mr. Goodrich. There's a clunking noise in the back, and no one has been able to find it.
Well, I'll take a look.
Oh, good.
Mr. Goodwrench really understands your General Motors car, and dealer service bulletins from GM help him spot problems fast.
Find it?
Sure did. Found it right here in this new GM service bulletin.
Keep that great GMP
with Mr. Goodrich.
and genuine GM parts.
He's at over 6,000 participating GM dealers.
This is Aldo Cella. He is not a slave to fashion. He speaks no French. But Aldo Cella knows what women like. Cella Bianco. A very special white wine.
Till a chair.
Aldo.
Update the board for you. The Cubs beat the Dodgers 2-1. Suter picked up his 32nd save for Lynn McLaughlin, the winner. Rick Sutcliffe, the loser. Barry Foote, Dusty Baker homers. Atlanta leads Philadelphia 1-0 back of Phil Necro. The Giants lead Pittsburgh 4-3 in the third inning. Lylevin and Montefusco. Houston and New York, 0-0 in the second at Shea. That's Joe Necro seeking his 17th against Swan. San Diego and St. Louis just getting underway. Here it's the bottom of the second inning. 3-0 Montreal. George Foster hitting .325, 20 homers, 73 runs batted in, and he's missed 40 games this year. Looks at the strike. George had a groin problem, then he had a torn adductor muscle, a thigh muscle tear that shelved him, and just recently back in the lineup. 0-1 pitch. Inside. 1-1.
Al Alex, this left-hander for Montreal, Dan Schatzeder. Good fastball, good breaking stuff. 1-8, lost 4. Third appearance this year against Cincinnati. He's got a good fastball.
Foster fouls it back. Schatzeder was spot starting earlier in the year. Then they were using him out of the bullpen with frequency. Then he went into the rotation just about the time we last saw Dan in a Monday night game in St. Louis in June. And he'll be a key man down the stretch. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Change speed. And down goes Foster. So George is gone. One down. George getting fooled on this pitch.
Here's a good breaking ball, Al. Off-speed curveball. Look at Foster. Way out in front. Look at that ball dropped around the knees. Good off-speed pitch by Dan Schatzeder. He'll throw two different kinds of fastballs, Al, we might look for. Center field camera shot. He'll throw a straight fastball, and then he's got that riding fastball that will run away from a right-handed batter.
He's retired. The first 4 men he has faced is Johnny Bench. Takes a look at a fastball outside. Schatzeder in his last start last Wednesday night pitched 5 shutout innings in Houston, but had to come out of the game. Scott Sanderson picking up for him. The reason he had slept in a room where the air conditioner was a bit chilly, and his arm had stiffened. Dan attributes it to that.
The old Babe Ruth story.
Yeah. Doesn't know you're supposed to keep it at 78 now, right?
That's right.
Back. 2-1.
Yeah, you got to move those things away from your bed. You lay your arm on her, she'll freeze up on you.
2-1. Well, he had to come out of the game after 5 in the dome, but he picked up the victory. He's won his last 3 decisions. Bench gets fooled. And swing and a miss to the count 2-2. Schatzeder was telling us before the game he will probably throw more breaking pitches tonight than he normally does because of the arm stiffness that he had last week. Doesn't want to air it out as much necessarily, so
He'll change
stuck true to form.
Excuse me, Al. He'll change off a slider, too. That last pitch on Bench, a little slider that he'll take something off every once in a while. Off-speed curveball.
Bench drills it, and she is gone. No doubt about it. Never any doubt the moment that ball left the bat. You could tell simply by the sound. So Johnny Bench, it's his 14th of the year, and that ties Frank Robinson's all-time Cincinnati club record. That's the 324th of his career.
Here it is one more time. A high fastball from Schatzeder, and Bench jumped all over it. Val said, never any doubt about that one. And the Reds are on the board. Montreal leading by a score of 3-1. History tonight for Johnny Bench.
So Johnny Bench putting his name alongside Frank Robinson in the all-time Reds record book as Ray Knight takes a strike on the inside corner. 0-1 the count. There are the all-time home run leaders in Cincinnati history. Bench and Robinson now tied, followed by Perez, Ted Krasuski, and George Foster. Little looper by Spire in the center for a base hit. So Ray Knight, who came in tonight hitting .318, will bump that up a point or two with a single to center. Hector Cruz, the batter. Montreal leading 3-1 in the bottom of the second inning. Hector Cruz, picked up from the Giants at the end of June in the deal that sent Pedro Borbon to San Francisco. He was rusting on the bench at Candlestick, and now with the injuries the Reds have had, getting a chance to play with some frequency here, and he's done very well. He's been a very pleasant surprise. A strike to Cruz, 0-1.
You can't let the batting average fool you with Cruz, Al. He's knocked in 19 big runs. He's done a whale of a job in the outfield. Here's one guy, Al, when he came up with the St. Louis Cardinals that I thought had a chance to be an excellent player. I really did. The Cardinals put him at third base, if you remember, for 1 year, and I mean, he was just so out of position. It was unbelievable. His hitting suffered. His defense suffered. He's always been a good outfielder. He's got an excellent throwing arm.
The Cardinals, as a matter of fact, traded Ken Reese, made room for Cruz at third, and when that didn't work, the next year they got Reese back from the Giants. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss to the count, 1-2. Cruz, the brother of Jose Cruz of the Houston Astros. So you've got a brother tandem involved in the pennant race in the West at both ends. 1-2 pitch is low. 2-2. His given name is Hector. When he first came up, everybody was calling him Heidi. He said, no, it's not Heidi, it's Heidi. And everybody started calling him Heidi. He said, no, it's Heidi. Finally, he said, get it back to Hector.
Yeah, he signs his first name with a circle on top of the circle below. 80.
2-2 the count. To the Giants, he went up to broadcaster Lon Simmons and told him, my name is pronounced 80. Lon said, 80? And he said, 80. Lon said, what's that, your batting average? And Lon lived to talk about it. 2-2 the count. 1 out, 1 on. High. 3-2. So Knight at first base. We'll see if he goes. Montreal leading 3-1. Tony Perez holding him on with 1 out in the second inning. Schatzeder, after backing off, throws over to first base. Close play.
Boy, an excellent move by Schatzeder, and really something on that throw to Perez. There's the lead by Knight. There's the throw coming back to the bag, and Knight just beat it. Very, very close play. Good move by Schatzeder.
Dan was hoping he'd catch him leaning. Knight figures to be going. 3-2 on Cruz. There goes Knight. The 3-2 pitch. Bouncer to the hole. Fire with a great backhand stop, but that's all. Everybody is safe. We'll see it from left field. An infield single for Cruz. So the Reds have 3 successive hits in the second inning.
With Knight off and moving, here's an excellent play by Spires. And only the runner going from first base stopped the course at second. Here's an excellent play by Spires, deep into the hole. He makes the backhanded play, spins completely around, but no chance to make a throw on Cruz, and no chance for Knight at second base.
Now Paul Blair, released by the Yankees, signed by the Reds on the 7th of May. Platooning with Cesar Geronimo in center field, with Blair facing the left-handers. Bouncer to third. Parrish steps on third for the fourth. The first double play. So on one pitch, Schatzeder squanders the balance of the threat. A run, 3 hits, 1 left, into 2 full. Expos 3, Reds 1.
The sale of Chevy's Best rolls on, but for a very, very limited time. Already, thousands of people have taken advantage of great deals on our best. Special factory incentives to dealers means you can still save big on Chevrolet Caprices and Impalas. Save big on Caprice and Impala wagons. Save on Monte Carlo. Plus, Chevy pickups, Chevy vans, Chevy Blazers, and El Camino. But hurry, time is running out on the sale of Chevy's Best.
If you're
your engine isn't starting on cue, put in a fresh set of Champion spark plugs at least once a year. Champion and your engine can make beautiful music together. You can't buy a better plug.
We all had athlete's foot. Yeah, burning, itching, peeling, the works. And Desnex helps clear it right up.
Students like these took part in recent clinical studies that once again prove if you've got athlete's foot, don't blame Desinex. More proof on top of years of clinical evidence that shows Desinex is highly effective against athlete's foot.
Desnex really works for us.
So if you've got athlete's foot, don't blame Desinex.
In the American League, Baltimore with Mike Flanagan on the mound, leading Texas 3-0. Into 2, Ken Singleton is at a home run in that one. Minnesota 1-0 over Boston. At the end of 1, New York and Kansas City just getting underway. In Chicago and Milwaukee scoreless in the second inning. And out on the coast tonight, the late show will feature Cleveland and California, Detroit at Oakland, and Toronto at Seattle. Third inning. Andre Dawson to lead off. Dawson, Perez, and Carter. 3-1 Montreal. Out away. 0-1 the count. Dawson singled in the first inning. The Expos with 5 hits. Off Freddie Norman through 2. Safely in 16 of his last 18. Tries to bunt his way on. Then fielding in foul territory. And the count is 0-2. Andre Dawson came up in 77. Andre Dawson came up in 77. The Expos knew they had a great outfield when they put Cromartie, Dawson, and Valentine together. And it's panned out. This program, an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. A 5-second pause now to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
WJZ-TV, Baltimore.
Third inning, Montreal 3, Cincinnati 1. Freddie Norman working on Andre Dawson, leading off here in the third. And ahead on the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Now back again. Freddie's thrown a lot of strikes tonight. Norman is prone to streaks of wildness. You'll see him go full a lot. You'll see him walk a lot of batters. But tonight, almost everything's been in the strike zone.
That's what I was talking about earlier, Al. When he's right, he's going to pitch a lot from behind because he's a nibbler. He's pitching the corners all the time, and he tries to make you hit his pitch. He's been stung a couple of times tonight by pitches right down the pipe.
Did he check his swing? Yes. They appeal, and Andre held back. First base umpire Sax Davidson intending he didn't swing. We'll see it
that
again.
Last fastball by Norman up around the letters. Yeah, it could have been a check swing.
Agreed. 1-2 pitch. Now back again.
You know, with a guy like Norman, Al, if you're John McNamara, the Cincinnati Reds manager, you got to kind of stay with this guy a little longer than you probably Wood was somebody else. He's had such great success here in Riverfront Stadium. Lifetime as a member of the Cincinnati Reds, 6-0 against Montreal, and Cincinnati is hot. Got him that time.
On the inside corner, called strike 3, and Dawson doesn't like that call by Brocklander. When you get called out by Brocklander, it doesn't matter where the pitch is, you're going to be upset. Here it is again.
Here's that last fastball from Norman around the inside corner. Dawson backing away, and the pitch looked like a good strike. That's the first for Norman tonight.
The batter is Tony Perez. 1-0 the count. Perez singled to drive in a run in the first inning. It's a deep center field. Paul Blair going back and running out of room. Gone. Hit it over the batter's backdrop. In center field, and it's 404 to straightaway center. And Perez in his career has hit a lot out in that spot in both white and red and blue uniforms.
He's got tremendous power, Al. That was always his power alley. Right center, left center field. He got a low fastball that time from Norman on a pitch that Norman shook off for Bench. Bench, it appeared, had called something else. Norman shook him off, came with a fastball, and Perez nailed him.
That's Tony's 12th of the season. The Expos' second of the game. It's 4-1 Montreal. And Gary Carter is the batter. Pop foul and back out of play.
That's home run number 108 on the year for Montreal, Al. In contrast, the Reds have hit 98.
Isn't that interesting?
Boy, I'm telling you. We've talked about it before, the fact that they have not hit that many home runs this year. Normally at this time of the year, you would see the Cincinnati Reds up in the high 180s, maybe 190s, Al.
Manny Sarmiento throwing now in the Cincinnati bullpen. Pastore was up in the first and second innings. To right field and right at Cruz. 2 down. 2 away here in the third inning with the bases empty. And we'll take a look at Ellis Valentine. The Reds this year, rookie manager John McNamara, rookie as far as the Reds are concerned. Mac, of course, had managed at Oakland and at San Diego prior to taking over for Sparky Anderson in a move that shocked everybody. Pitch up high, ball 1. 1-0. Sparky, a fixture here in Cincinnati, has guided the club since 1970. Spent 9 years here. Reds during the course of Anderson's reign with 2 world championships. Wide of third. Knight is there to glove it and get him. In the third inning for Montreal, a run on a hit. The home run by Perez to dead center in the middle of the third. Expos 4, Reds 1.
Honey, is this homeowner's insurance high?
I don't know. Think it's too much?
How would I know?
Compare with Allstate.
Compare?
Bring in your policy and compare rates. If you have a good deal, we'll tell you. But for many, chances are we've got a better deal.
We've got a better deal.
Allstate might save you some money, but you'll never know until you bring in your policy and compare.
Oh, that's a good deal.
When you want to save on homeowners insurance, Allstate wants to help.
That's a promise from us. For good hands, people.
Hey, how was the monster that ate Tokyo?
It made me scared. It made me hungry.
Then you're going for a burger?
Have you seen the price of burgers lately?
We're going to Kentucky Fried Chicken.
At the Colonel's, I know we always get fresh, quality chicken.
Now, this is a good meal at a price that makes good sense. Right, son?
Right.
It's so nice to feel so good about a meal, so good about Kentucky Fried Chicken.
We turned the lights on these 40 American cars. 2.5 hours later, they all started. The Die Hard. It batted 1,000 in Yankee Stadium. Only at Sears.
From the people who brought you Die Hard batteries comes the Muzzler, the aluminized muffler from Sears. The Muzzler, only $17.99 at Sears.
in Cincinnati, you're looking at Rick Auerbach, who will come up to pinch hit for Freddie Norman. So Norman in 3 innings gives up 4 runs. Obviously didn't have it tonight, and Johnny McNamara will waste no more time. Perhaps on a cue from Norman. We'll try to find out as you look at the Reds manager on the right with Johnny Bench on the left. Going to his bench early tonight to send up Auerbach to hit for Norman. Then we'll see Dave Collins and Joe Morgan, the 9-1 and 2 hitters against Dan Schatzeder. 4-1 Expos. Rick Auerbach, utility infielder, checks his swing, and it's in anyway for a strike. 0-1 the count. Line into center field for a base hit. Rick Auerbach with a single to center, and that will bring up yesterday's man of the hour, Dave Collins. Bob Uecker talked to Dave before the game tonight.
You made a statement a couple of days ago, and I think most people around the National League would agree. You say you're an ideal leadoff man.
I think so. I can run with anybody in the league, and I can switch hit, so there's no problem when there's a tough left-hander. I can turn around and bat right-handed. If there's a tough right-hander, I can bat left-handed, and plus I can steal some bases, and I think I'm an ideal leadoff hitter.
That's the spot he's in tonight. Dave Collins having the best year of his relatively brief big league career. Takes low and inside, ball 1. 1-0. That's Auerbach at first base. Nobody out. Bottom of the 3rd inning, 4-1 Montreal. 2-0 the count. Collins came up through the Angel system. Spent 5 years in the minors before first coming up with California in 1975. Then he shuffled back and forth. Seattle picked him up in 77. He spent a year with the Mariners, then last year at Cincinnati, and this year he's a key man. 2-0 pitch, high, ball 3. 3-0. The rap on Collins in the past has been defense. First base, perhaps his best position, but the Reds have Danny Dreesen there on an everyday basis. He does not have a great arm, and as you saw if you were with us at the beginning tonight, he is prone to misplay fly balls and line drives from time to time in the outfield. 3-1, but perhaps with more experience, getting to play every day, he'll improve there, and certainly offensively, he has done a most respectable job.
You see that happen a lot of times, Al, with people like Collins who have good speed playing the outfield. A lot of times they try to charge balls that are uncatchable, but with a good speed, they get there, and then they know they can't make the catch, but they can't stop. The ball bounces, especially on this stuff, the ball bounces by you many times, goes for extra base hits. It's an asset at times, but also a hindrance. It happened to him yesterday.
Dave draws a walk, so 2 on with nobody out in the bottom of the 3rd inning. And Joe Morgan will be coming up as the Expos have a conference at the mound. Pitching coach Jim Brewer, along with Larry Parrish and Gary Carter, they're trying to settle Schatzeder down. Dan in a 1-2-3 first, then struck Foster out on a breaking ball to start the 2nd, but then benched the booming homer. He gave up a couple of singles, got out of the inning with a double play. But now a single and a walk here in the 3rd. 2 on, nobody out, and Joe Morgan, 0 for 1. Struck out his first trip. A strike, 0-1. Morgan upset with Rocklander again. Joe is the kind of hitter you very rarely see Morgan called out on a 3rd strike, as was the case in the 1st inning. Gene Mock, when he managed Montreal, used to moan and groan about that all the time, and he said they're calling the pitches off Morgan's reputation.
I think the pitch that he just looked at, Al, was not that bad a pitch. It was a breaking pitch on the inside corner, kind of a hanging slider, but I thought the pitch was good.
Half swing foul in the count of 1-2.
You know, Schatzeder is going to try to stay inside on him or get inside off the inside corner. I'm not talking about strikes inside. Try to stay inside on Morgan. I said that first pitch was a hanging slider. May have fooled Joe a little bit, too, because it did hang. Schatzeder came back with a fastball off the inside corner for a check swing. Let's see if he works him away now. Joe's still upset at that call by the home plate umpire.
You can read it in that close-up. It's been that kind of a year for Morgan. 0-2 pitch is fouled away. You know, that point that Mark had that I mentioned a moment ago is true in the sense Morgan always leads the league or is up among the league leaders in walks, has a good eye. Everybody knows it. And Mark used to say, well, the umpires don't call the close pitches on Joe because they feel, perhaps subconsciously, that he has such a good eye that the pitch did miss the strike zone.
Yeah, they figure guys like Morgan, excuse me, Al, if you don't swing at a pitch, you don't swing at a close pitch, it's a ball, it's a bat pitch. It's not true.
Outside on the count 1-2.
I think the same holds true for pitchers, Al. Guys who have the outstanding control, really good control, they're the guys that get pitches off the corners, the outside corner or inside corner, because they have that kind of a reputation and they don't walk many people.
1-2 to Joe, fouled away on a check swing.
You know, in games that I've caught, certain pitchers, the Spawns and the Verdettes and Bob Buell and the Jim Bunnings and Gibsons and people like that, the guys who had the good control, and Spawn was that kind of a pitcher, he would try to pitch off the outside corner to right-handed batters, try and get them to pull the pitches. They were bad pitches, and an umpire certain days will work the corner, work off the outside corner.
Up and in.
Robin Roberts used to be that kind of a pitcher. There's so many of them. Works both ways.
2-2. Schatzeder works on Morgan. 2 on and nobody out. Morgan drills it, but foul. So the count stays 2-2. There is Scott Sanderson in the Montreal bullpen. So one starter is gone. Freddie Norman leaving after 3. And the other is on the ropes here in the 3rd inning. 2 on and nobody out. And the 2-2 pitch coming up to Joe Morgan. Foul again as Schatzeder pulled the string, and Morgan was able to hold back in time just to get a piece of the ball and stay alive.
Joe Morgan is right, Al. He was such a tough hitter to fool with off-speed stuff. And I think probably, when he's right, probably the toughest guy to pitch inside. You really got to have good stuff to get inside on Morgan when he's right. As I said, that's been a Joe Morgan kind of a year. For a guy as big as he is, inside stuff, he can hit some tremendous home runs.
2-2. Hit in the air to right center field. Deep but playable. Valentine is there with Dawson, and Andre makes the catch. Auerbach tags at second and advances 90 feet. So a long out, 1 down. Schatzeder winning that battle to get Morgan, and now he'll look at Concepcion, who fly to right in the 1st inning. Dave having a very good year. As usual, one of the premier shortstops in the National League. Of course, here in Cincinnati, they're very partial and think he is the best. Unqualified. Offensively, through the years, he's improved to the point where Concepcion has become a respectable 290, 300 hitter. His average, 297 at the moment. Live for a ball. 1-0 the count. Dave Concepcion. Last year he hit 300, hit 301. Inside, 2 balls, no strikes to count. Expo infield, double play down.
Concepcion, Al, also 1 run scored short of his high of last year, 75. He needs 1 more to tie that.
That's mainly because Davey is hitting higher in the order now than he has in most years past. When he first came up, he was a dead, lock, cinch, 8th place hitter. Swing and a miss, and the count 2-1. He got anxious on a 2-0 pitch.
Kind of tough not to be an 8-spot hitter on the ball clubs the Reds had here in years past, Al.
If you'd have told fans in Cincinnati 6-7 years ago that Concepcion would someday be batting 3rd, that you'd be committed. didn't look like Davey was going to hit, but Sparky Anderson and the organization always felt that sooner or later he would turn the corner, and he did. 1973 was the year he turned the corner. Went from 209 in 72 to 287 in 73. And ever since then, he's been solid and consistent offensively. Throw to first base, driving Collins back. The Reds with Auerbach at third, Collins at first. 3-1. Montreal at the bottom of the third. The 3-1. Full count.
Interesting now when you watch a guy like Schatzeder, a youngster with Gary Carter behind the plate, falling behind on Concepcion. The veteran-type pitchers, you might see more off-speed stuff when they pitch from behind. Let's see what Schatzeder does here, 3-2. Lost him. Came with the off-speed stuff and lost him. Turned the 3-1 fastball to be fouled back. And he came with the off-speed stuff and he missed upstairs. They're loaded up.
So they're loaded up. And Schatzeder now will have to go to work on Foster. As you look at Dick Williams, manager of the Expos, who has Scott Sanderson throwing in the bullpen. George Foster is coming up. And you would think that if Schatzeder doesn't take care of Foster, that Williams will take care of Schatzeder.
My point being on Concepcion, Al, the fact that he's walked a pair here in the third, make the guy hit the ball. To give your infielders a chance, they had the double play situation set. There's Sanderson in the Montreal bullpen. They had the double play situation with runners at first and third to be elected to go with a 3-2 breaking ball. And he walked it. Now you got Foster with the bases loaded.
George struck out on a curve in the second inning. Infield double play depth. Pop foul and back out of play. 0-1. One out. The bases loaded with Rick Auerbach at third. Dave Collins at second. Dave Concepcion at first. 0-1 on George Foster. Foster with 73 runs batted in, despite missing 40 games this season. Unbelievable. Foster's injuries this year, groin and thigh injuries. So George's mobility has been diminished somewhat. But that stroke is still that stroke.
You might look at Foster and think he's not having a good cutout, but he's so awfully strong. It may not seem like he's having that good rip, but when he makes contact, the ball just jumps. I mean, really jumps.
Hit high in the air to shallow center field. Scott going out and calling, but here comes Dawson, and it's Dawson to make the catch. So the runners have to hold as the throw comes into Perez, cutting it off on the mound. So a fly ball to shallow center, and a very big out for Schatzeder.
Schatzeder really made a good pitch on him, Al. He got inside with a fastball, got that little pop up to short center field, and a good play by Dawson to catch that ball. With Scott going out, his momentum, Al, taking him out toward the outfield. The runner at third, Auerbach, got a chance to score, but with Dawson coming on, he's all set to make a throw toward the plate. It was made, cut off by Perez, and the base is still loaded for Bench.
Two down. Bench hit a bullet off the facade in left field in the second inning. The home run giving him a 5-game hitting streak. Two down, bases loaded. 1-0. Montreal 4 runs, 6 hits. Cincinnati, 1 run, 4 hits. The 1-0 to bench. Going in the bench. No doubt what was on Johnny's mind.
No doubt at all. Done tie himself with Frank Robinson in the home run derby here with Cincinnati at 324 apiece lifetime.
Bench in his career has hit 9 grand slams. High. 2-1 the count.
Looks like that bad a pitch from Dan Schatzeder that time. He thought so too. Fastball around the outside corner on bench.
Houston has picked up 3 in the 4th inning to lead the Mets 3-1 at the end of 3 1/2. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Foul tipped in the Cardinals' glove. 2-2. Downey Bench. From Finger, Oklahoma to Cincinnati and eventually to Cooperstown. Got him. So Schatzeder not only saves himself a spot in the game, but works out of a tough jam in the 3rd by dispensing of Foster and Bench. We'll go to the 4th. It's still 4-1 Montreal. In Cincinnati, Al Michaels and Bob Uecker. You're looking at Frank Pastore on in relief of Fred Norman. Pastore started the season with the Reds. Had a great spring. Probably had the best spring of any of the Reds pitchers. But then had some problems in the initial stages of the season. The Reds wanted him to work with more frequency. They sent him out to Indianapolis, where he was 7-2, and then recalled him on the 25th of July. Pastore on in relief in the 4th inning. It's 4-1 Montreal with Parrish, Spire, and Schatzeder. The 7, 8, and 9 hitters. Parrish homered his first trip. In for a strike.
Look at some of these youngsters on the Cincinnati pitching staff, Al. It's only going to be a matter of time when they're right back on top again when you talk about the pitching department. Frank Pastore's got an excellent arm, excellent fastball. He's worked 53-plus innings for Cincinnati, walked 14, struck out 38. He's got excellent velocity. Good fastball. 2 good fastballs on Parrish right there.
This pitching staff in the midst of a major transformation. 0-2 pitch. Just missing. 1-2. You look at some of the names on the Reds roster pitching-wise. Everybody, of course, you recognize Seaver and Norman and Bill Bonner. Drill to left field, and Parrish has hit it out again. His 2nd home run of the night and the 4th home run of the game. So we play long ball in Cincinnati tonight. It's 5-1 Montreal on Parrish's 19th home run of the season.
Got a 2-1 fastball from Pastore. One of the things we were talking about. Lack of experience for this guy. He's got a good fastball. Parrish sitting on the fastball. He got it all. 2nd home run. I don't know what it is about Lance Parrish. Rather, Larry Parrish. Lance Parrish, of course, over Detroit. I know what it is about him. But Larry Parrish, every time we do a Monday night game, Al, with Montreal, he really responds.
Prime-time hitter.
I like that, too.
In for a strike. 0-1. Here's a strike 1 pitch to Spire. Another strike, and the count is 0-2. Parrish at prime time. You did a lot of you're hitting what, the fringe time, didn't you?
Fringe time. Yeah, 11:30 to closing time.
1-2 the count on Spire.
Winter ball every year. What a surprise to get off that plane in Greenland.
1-2 to Spire. Blew it by him. 1 out. 1 away. Bases empty. We'll take a look at Schatzeder. Coming up, coverage of the most important track and field event outside of the Olympic Games. You'll see it beginning Friday night on ABC at 9 Eastern Time. Our coverage continuing Saturday at 3 Eastern. And then Sunday at 3 Eastern, exclusive live coverage of the World Cup Track and Field Championships from the home of the Expos, Montreal. So while the Expos are on the road, we'll have our cameras at Olympic Stadium for some great track and field competition beginning Friday. Schatzader takes low, ball one.
You look at this story, Al. Does he remind you a little bit of Tom Seaver? Watch his windup. Watch his style.
I was just going to say, you look at him the way he holds the glove out in front, the balance, pushes off that back leg, exactly.
You can see what a guy like Tom Seaver does to a pitching staff. Last year, Seaver, of course, had a tough time, but they said he worked with the youngsters. Well, I see a lot of Tom Seaver in this guy.
Absolutely. 2-0 pitch. Down the way. Watch Pastore just from the beginning.
Take a look from the home plate camera. Here it is now. There it is. Right there. That's Tom Seaver all the way. Got a little different style when he's back, when he draws that baseball back to start his delivery toward the plate. But those first couple of moves are all Tom Seaver.
So if you look at the Mets, and you saw the influence that Seaver had over there. Gary Gentry looked like a pup out of Seaver. So on. Even today, Craig Swan with a lot of Seaver in him. Swung on and missed, strike three. So Schatzader is gone. 2 down in the 4th inning. And Warren Cromartie will be the batter.
Frank Pastore. Looks like he's going to be a good one with Cincinnati. Great fastball. Here's that last one on Schatzader to record his second strikeout. Low heat.
2 down. Cromartie is 2 for 2. Warren singled and scored in the first, and then singled in the second inning. Breaking pitch.
You know, another thing, Al, what an asset to have a guy like Johnny Bench catching on a ball club where you got people like Pastore. This young pitching staff. You got a veteran catcher who's been around, has handled many great pitchers on this staff. Extra added plus, along with Seaver.
Absolutely. 1-1. Not only the way he works with pitchers, but think about over the years how many runs Bench has saved blocking pitches in the dirt, making the play that other guys don't make with that frequency. Strike, 1 and 2.
You watch Bench work with Pastore. His fastball is number 1, and you're going to watch Johnny Bench work with it throughout the ball game. He'll come with off-speed stuff every once in a while, but the number 1 pitch, the heater. It's a good curveball.
Out of the plate, Frank Pastore, out of Southern California, born in Alhambra, lives now in Upland. Pastore, he'll celebrate a birthday tomorrow. He'll be 22. Second choice in the 1975 draft. Kane grounded to short. Concepcion in one hand, as is his style, and gets it. In the inning, a home run by Parrish to lead off. And at the end of 3 1/2 in Riverfront, Montreal 5, Cincinnati 1. Bottom of the 4th inning, 5-1. Montreal. Ray Knight will lead off for the Reds. Talk to him before the game.
I know Pete Rose likes to kid a lot of players, even when they're on the opposition. What sort of a relationship have you had this year, that 12 times that you faced the Phillies? Has there been kidding and mingling between yourself and Pete?
There's not so much kidding, because Pete respects me, and we had a great relationship when he was here. I took ground balls with him every day, and he taught me a lot about the mental makeup of the game. He's the most positive person I've ever been around, and I learned a lot from him in that respect. Just the other day when we were here, I was 2 points ahead of him in the batting race, and he says, hey, did you know you're 2 points ahead of me? And I said, no, I didn't. Last time I looked, I was 4 ahead of him, so I didn't know that he closed at 2 points. But he's just that type of person. He's an outgoing guy, and he believes in himself, and he's statistic-oriented, and I haven't gotten that way yet, but the way people are continuing to hound me and ask me, what am I hitting, and did I expect this, this is you have to put out up here, and you have to be able to produce, and if you don't have statistics, then you're going to be on your way.
Ray Knight talking about the man that he succeeded. Pete Rose flying out to left field here in the 4th inning. 1 away and Cruz the batter. Wasn't that an interesting graphic as far as average home runs and runs batted in, comparing Knight and Rose? A 5-1, 1-0 the count. Of course, it's a little deeper than that. You can make statistics perform any trick you'd like. And I'm sure that even Ray would admit that at this this point. You can't deny what Pete has done and what Pete means off the field, but who would have believed that on the 20th of August, Knight would have a higher average than Rose?
Probably every fan in this ballpark, Al.
2-0 pitch in for a strike, and the count 2-1.
You just got to believe that young guy took a lot of heat when he started playing at third base. It was all right when he came into play once in a while, but when Rose left and he was here on an everyday basis, took a lot of heat.
A lot of the fans were very understanding because, of course, when Rose left, well, it's not necessary to recount all of the ramifications of that. I'm sure 90% of you are familiar with it. But a lot of people were pulling for Knight. In there for called strike 3 as Cruz is gone, and there are 2 down, and we'll see Paul Blair. So they understood the situation as you look at the last pitch again.
Here's that Dan Schatzinger fastball. Good pitch. Outside corner around the knees, and he got Cruz looking.
I think the fans were more tolerant in the sense that Pete took himself out of Cincinnati is what it amounted to. Ray Knight didn't push Rose out of Cincinnati. The pitch is lined to left field. Moving over is Cromartie to make the catch, and that's that here in the 4th inning. Dan Schatzinger setting the Reds down 1-2-3. We'll move along to the 5th at Riverfront. Montreal 5, Cincinnati 1.
There's something about an Aquavelva man.
My name is Kai Stremski, and I've been playing Major League Ball for a lot of years. I've seen a lot of ball players come and go, and lots of aftershaves, too. I've always liked Aquavelva. No fancy perfumes, no fancy prices. Just a good, clean, refreshing fragrance that makes a man smell like a man. Try them all if you want to, but you'll find out. There really is something about an Aquavelva man.
I like to relax when I'm traveling from one series to another. I like a pinch of Skoal between my cheek and gum, too. That's full tobacco pleasure without lighting up. So I can think about yesterday and tomorrow. Skoal's my brand, but lots of guys start with mild happy days. Either way, you're going with a winner.
Can I have your autograph, Mr. Mercer?
Mm-hmm.
For my husband?
Smokeless tobacco. A pinch is all it takes.
These are the blueprints for an automotive revolution. This is the J.C. Penney shock absorber. Its unique patented metering pin adjusts the ride automatically while you drive. So you get the control of heavy-duty shocks when the going gets rough, and the ride of original equipment shocks when the road is smooth. And if it ever fails, return it. We'll replace it free for as long as you own your car. The J.C. Penney shock absorber. It's the last shock absorber your car will ever need.
Switch inning, Rodney Scott will lead off in the 5th inning for Montreal. He sat down, had some words with Bob Uecker before the game.
Rod, manager Dick Williams has shown a lot of confidence in you this year, playing you over Dave Cash. What's your reaction to this whole situation?
Well, you know, I just go out and try to do the best I can. And as far as him picking me over Dave Cash, I think it's irrelevant because Dave Cash is a great ball player, and just to have him, on the team and backing up or what have you, just adds that much attraction to our team. I don't really consider Dave Cash a backup player. I feel that he can play every day as same as me, and I've played shortstop some, and I've been playing primarily second base, but I'm just overwhelmed to be with this team and having the success that we are.
Rodney Scott going after the first pitch and grounding out to Joe Morgan here in the 5th inning. So 1 down now. And we'll take a look at Andre Dawson. Dawson has singled in the first, struck out in the 3rd, batting .271. Montreal 5, Cincinnati 1. 5th inning, 1 out, bases empty. High for a ball, 1-0 the count.
Another thing with that Scott and Cash situation now, Scott's the first guy to admit that Cash has really helped him throughout the season. I said before, it's kind of hard to figure out a guy like Cash making the kind of money that he makes and being content to sit on the bench. I shouldn't say content. He's unhappy about sitting on the bench, but he's not the kind of a guy to pop off. He's worked with Scott all year long, playing hitters, worked on his hitting. You talked about that before. There's Dave Cash, Rudy May, Tom Hutton. But when we saw Montreal earlier in the year, Scott was around 210, 205. He's hitting around 240 now, and a lot of the credit has to go to Cash.
Dave Concepcion will have to get rid of it in a hurry, and does. 2 down. So Pastore gives up the leadoff homer to Parrish in the 4th, and he set down 5 in a row, and what figures to be his final inning of work as he faces Tony Perez. Pastore is due to lead off in the bottom of the 5th inning. So the Reds busy in the bullpen. Mario Soto
Had a brother named D.
Had a lot of horsepower. High, ball 1. 1-0 on Perez.
Now, when I watch Frank Pastore work, I think the one thing that he lacks is movement on his fastball. He's got great velocity, but I would venture to say that this Cincinnati coaching staff, the pitching coach, is really going to do a lot of work with this guy. I mean, talk about power pitchers all you want, but I think the thing now with pitching around the big leagues has gone to movement on the fastball.
2-1 on Perez. The Reds pitching coach this year, in his first year, Bill Fisher, former American League pitcher from several clubs, a man who was noted for sensational control during his career. Foul back, 2-2. Very high on Pastore. Here's a fellow that could very well move into the starting rotation next season. Even before this year is out. Grounded to short. Concepcion handles his good buddy Perez. And Montreal gone in the 5th. The Reds come up in the bottom of the 5th. They trail the Expos 5-1.
At the 1904 World's Fair, Harvey Firestone received the gold medal for his tires. But to Harvey, the real proof that he was building a good tire was people were buying it. Just about every car on the fairground was riding on Firestone. Today, the Firestone 721 is being proved the same way. American drivers have bought over 20 million 721s. Now, Harvey always said, give people a good product, and they'll buy it.
A storm-damaged house, and a lady and her plants have a problem.
Everything will be all right. I hate lying to him, but I haven't got the money to fix this. And you know how long the insurance could take.
Not with Allstate. Allstate has more professional claims specialists than any other company to make sure your settlement is fair and fast.
I'll call your contract.
That didn't take long.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
And that's a promise from us. At good hands, people.
One thing I'll never compromise on, my tools. I go for the best, like this. Or these. Yeah, Levi's blue jeans are tools. They fit your body like a good hammer fits your hand. Nice and comfortable. And this Levi's denim is as tough as nails. A real value for the buck. Tell you, I wouldn't wear anything less than Levi's blue jeans. But then I don't skimp on tools.
Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. Our perch up here at the 90-foot level. Look down at feel like we're doing a high diving show. Look down at the yellow square. Aim for the target. Bottom of the 5th inning. Montreal leading 5-1. Harry Stillman's going to come up to pinch hit for Frank Pastore. And with more play-by-play, Bob Uecker.
Okay, Al. Reds trail by a score of 5-1 here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Stillman hitting at 289. No home runs. He's knocked in 5. And Larry Parrish to the mound now to talk with left-hander Dan Schatzeder. The Expos hit the Reds with 2 in the 1st, 1 in the 2nd, 1 more in the 3rd, and 1 in the 4th. The Cincinnati run came on a home run by Johnny Bench. His 14th of the year. off the outside corner. 1 ball and no strikes on Spillman. In the air, center field. Easy play for Dawson. 1 down. Back to the top of the order, Dave Collins, the first baseman. Kind of a strange move by John McNamara. Left-handed pinch hitter against the left-hander Schatzeder. It shows you what kind of confidence that McNamara has and what kind of a hitter that Spillman is. Here's Collins. He's bounced to short and walked. He knocked in the game-winning run in yesterday's game for Cincinnati. Looks at his strike on 1.
Well, one thing about Mac, normally on the bench, he's got Blair and Cruz as prospective pinch hitters from the right side, but they're both in the lineup tonight.
Short right field, Ellis Valentine. Easy play. 2 down.
And also, Mac was forced to go to his bench early tonight when Norman didn't have it to use another right-handed hitter in Auerbach
to deliver. Here's Joe Morgan. Called out on strikes and fly to center. Morgan having a tough year. Talked earlier about the injuries on this Cincinnati ball club and the fact that they are not a big home run hitting club anymore. They have also lost a lot of speed with the injuries to guys like Morgan, Griffey, Geronimo on and off. Paul Blair, who used to have great speed, doesn't have that kind of speed anymore. Shares center field duties with Geronimo. 1 ball, no strikes to Morgan. Breaking ball, mislowed away on a check swing. Paul Pryor, the third base umpire, made that call. It's 2-0 on Morgan. Morgan's had a couple of tough calls tonight. Had that one been called a strike, you might have really seen something from Joe. Upset with the called third strike his first time up. 2-0 pitch. Inside fastball, 3-0. Schatzeder tonight has walked 2, struck out 4. The 2 walks came in the Cincinnati third. He's in with a strike, 3-1. Bottom half of the 5th inning. Montreal 5-1 over Cincinnati. Hit in the air, playable. Gary Carter, the catcher, got an easy play, and that retires the side. Easy inning here in the 5th, 3 up, 3 down. At the end of 5-1, Montreal leads. We'll be back with more baseball after this word from our local stations.
Late Night Tuesday.
Watch out.
For the Low Moan Spectacular.
I do not like them. I have never liked them, and I will not tolerate them in my house.
Yes, ma'am. We'll get rid of the roaches.
Orkin, we're number 1. We get the job done. We're Orkin.
Now that you have the Orkin service, we'll be back every month, ma'am.
Supposing I should see one before you come back.
Then we'll come back at no extra charge.
That's unusual.
Not for Orkin, ma'am.
Big number 1.
4, you ought to see us now. Now play all the combinations of your number with one fast ticket. But you gotta play to win.
I'm Judy Womack. A former quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers is in stable condition at the University of Maryland Shock Trauma Unit. I'll have the details when Jerry Turner joins you with Eyewitness News after the game.
You're looking at the new Reds pitcher, Mario Soto. A win, 2 losses, and a very hefty earned run average, 6.63. But here's another hard-throwing right-hander, this Cincinnati staff. You know, we were talking before, Uke, about the transformation on that staff, led by Seaver. But now you've got Mike Lacoste in his first full year. He's won 13 games. Doug Baird came over last year from Oakland. He's been struggling lately, but he still has to be considered the ace of the bullpen, though of late, the man who's really been doing the job out of the bullpen for them is Tom Hume. So it's a staff that, in the past couple of years, has undergone numerous changes. New manager, new pitching coach now. And it's an area that the Reds have had some problems with, obviously, in the past. So they've been magnified, I think, outside of Cincinnati, because the Reds have always had such a great offensive team. Obviously, the pitching's going to pale by comparison, but it hasn't been as bad as a lot of people have made it out to be throughout the decade. Gary Carter, the first batter to face Soto. Al, wouldn't it be something, you know, when you talk about this Cincinnati ball club over the years, and now you talk about the types of pitchers they have, youngsters like Soto, Pastore, Lacoste, the change completely around the type of club they were years ago to a Dodger-type ball club. Strong pitching, a lot of hit and running, low-scoring ball games. I mean, you talk about a complete turnaround, that would be it for Cincinnati. Still a couple of guys in the lineup who can hit them out. Oh, yes, sir. When you've got Foster in there, you've got one for sure. In the air by Carter on the first pitch. Left center field. It's Foster. 1 out. Well, the one thing that Bob Housen, when he was here as the president of the team, and Dick Wagner was Housen's assistant for many years, and now Dick is the president, they've always been very, very big on speed and defense. And people thought of the Reds as bombers, and they were, because they always hit a lot of home runs. But they also had that great defense, normally led the league or was second in the league in fielding percentage, and always right up among the stolen base leaders. Ellis Valentine against Soto, just outside. Now the speed, Al, you talk about what an important part it plays offensively for you. It causes the defense to make mistakes against you. The hit and run, it puts heat on the catcher, the stolen bases, puts heat on the pitcher. The guy's getting big leads. Boy, it's just an unbelievable asset. If you can have that on a ball club, and Cincinnati has had that, plus power. Ball 1, strike 1 on Valentine. Nothing in 2 trips. He's flying to center and bounce to third. In the air and playable on the infield. The third baseman, Ray Knight. Look out on the mound. Makes the catch to retire Valentine. You know, it's hard to figure out sometimes, too, Al, when you see a club like Cincinnati, who has, you know, they're there every year. They're right there, or they win every year. How they come up with youngsters like the Pastores and the Sotos and the Lacoste, the hard throwers. I can remember every year, it seemed, when you went to spring training in Vero Beach with the Dodgers, they either had some switch hitter that could hit 300 both ways, hit a lot of home runs, or some hard-throwing right-hander or left-hander every year. Well, you have to pay tribute to your scouts and your scouting department, obviously. Joe Bowen heading that phase of the Reds operation. He's done a marvelous job over the years. 2-0 on Larry Parrish. Homer twice tonight. To lead off the second and to lead off the fourth. He hit one off Norman and the second off Pastore.
like Soto too, Al, or Pastore. Everybody can't be a starter, but what an asset to have a guy like this or some hard thrower in the bullpen. A door closer I'm talking about. That guy that can come in there in the ninth inning and shut the door on you. The strikeout pitcher.
Just think if Milwaukee had a pitcher like that this year.
I tell you, Al, they'd really be in there. They really would. They trailed 7.5 to Baltimore. They're still there. Boston, of course, right there. Got him. That ends it. Easy inning. 3 up, 3 down here in the Montreal 6th inning. At the end of 5.5 innings of play, it is still Montreal 4-5 and Cincinnati 1. The Reds come to bat here in the 6th inning. Dave Concepcion, George Foster, and Johnny Bench. Concepcion is flied to right field and walked. The Expos have out hit the Reds 7-4, and they lead 5-1. Concepcion, a big year. 297 starting tonight's game, 13 home runs, and he's knocked in 66. Jack Sater has pitched well. He's in with a strike 0-1. Outside, downfield. Ball 1, strike 1. Hanging curve hit towards Fire. Easy play to Perez, 1 down. It'll bring up George Foster. He struck out and pops to center. Second time up with the bases loaded. Schatzeder made a good pitch on him. He got inside with a fastball, and Foster hit a little fly ball to center. The Expos trail Pittsburgh by 2 in the East. Cincinnati a game and a half behind Houston in the West. Montreal throughout most of the season in the East. The Pirates overhauled them. It dropped to 4.5 back last Monday. There you see the standings. The Cubs right there at 3.5. The Cardinals have been playing well, 7.5, tied with Philadelphia. Deep left center. You can forget this one. Way back for Foster. Gone. Wow. Oh, what a shot by Foster. That's number 21 for George Foster. Second in tonight's game for Cincinnati. They now have 100 home runs on the year. Boy, what a blast. Here's Bench. He had the first one.
That's also Foster's first home run since he came off the disabled list.
But a high fastball.
Here it is again. And the whole thing about Foster is you can tell the minute the ball leaves the bat, just listen.
Crack. Gone. Or watch the defense. They turn around and see how far it goes. Line drive. 1 ball, no strikes on Bench. It's now a 5-2 Montreal lead. 2-0. 1 out here in the 6th inning. Schatzeder, after his 9th win of the year, he has won 8, lost 4. Duo to Bench. Inside, 3-0. Balls, no strikes to Bench. Reds down by 3. They have 5 base hits off Schatzeder. George Foster. First since July 12th. He's been injured, as we told you earlier. 3-0 on Bench. He's on. Anderson up for the second time in the Montreal bullpen. And Jim Brewer again heads out toward the mound. This program is being brought to you as an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. Now let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
WJZ-TV, Baltimore.
Bob Uecker and Al Michaels with you from Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. There you see the Montreal infield along with pitching coach Jim Brewer talking with Dan Chatsader. The Expos lead by a score of 5-2. They hit the Reds with 2 in the first inning. Fred Norman started tonight for Cincinnati. Montreal with solo runs in the second, third, and fourth. The Redlegs run came in the second inning when Johnny Bench hit his 14th home run of the year. They made it 5-2 here in the sixth inning with Foster's 21st. One on with one out. And Ray Knight, who has a single and 2 trips. 7 home runs, 67 RBIs, having a big year for Cincinnati. Low inside fastball. That's 5 in a row now from Chatsader. No strikes. Left field, a base hit for Knight. Cincinnati with 2 on, coming alive here in the sixth inning. Knight is 2 for 3. Johnny Bench, the runner at second. And at first base, Ray Knight. And here's Dick Williams heading out toward the mound. And this will be all for Dan Chatsader. Williams has made the call. And it's going to be Scott Sanderson coming on here in the sixth inning. There you see the Expo right-hander. So the Montreal Expos lead by a score of 5-2 here in the sixth inning. 2 on for Cincinnati. We'll be back with more baseball right after this.
Let us show you the lengths Texaco sometimes has to drill to find more energy. This is New York's World Trade Center. Imagine drilling the length of 15 World Trade Centers. 15 World Trade Centers. That's almost 4 miles. Well, that's how deep Texaco has to drill. 4 miles down at $1 million a mile to find more energy for you here in America. Texaco, working to keep your trust.
David Lacey keeps an eye on nature for Dutch Master cigars. In this Caribbean aging room, he's checking fine tobacco naturally fermenting.
Right.
If it's too dry, it ferments too slowly. If it's too warm, it overheats and ferments too quickly.
Okay. I'll send it today.
But a master like Lacey can make nature behave, so fine tobacco can become a fine cigar.
Needs a little more time.
Try our Panatella. There really are masters, the Dutch masters.
I got an invitation, but not in the mail. I grab my invitation every morning without fail. I'm shaving close and comfortable, on that you can bet. Since I got an invitation from Gillette.
Now, for a limited time only, get the special edition Atra Invitation for less than $1.50. The same pivoting head and face-hugging action that made Atra Gillette's best shave at a buy now price.
Atra Invitation from Gillette.
Scott Sanderson becomes the new Montreal pitcher. 1-7, lost 7. The guy that's been used in a starting role and a relief role by manager Dick Williams. On the season, Sanderson has started 20 times, making his 28th appearance overall. The Expos lead here by a score of 5-2, and the Reds have 2 outs. Bottom half of the sixth inning. Cincinnati runs coming out home runs by Bench and Foster. Larry Parrish has hit a couple for Montreal. Cincinnati runners, Johnny Bench at second, and Ray Knight on at first base. 80 Cruz comes on now. He had an infield single and was called out on strikes. 2 on with 1 out. and the Montreal infield. Then a double play depth. The outfield for Cruz shifts him around toward the right side. Cromartie is well off the line in left field. Her ball and a beauty from Sanderson. There you see the outfield. Cromartie way off the line in left. Dawson shades toward right center. And Valentine about straightaway in right. The overshift in left field. 0-1 pitch. Strike two call. Good fastball to the outside corner. Perfect pitch that time by Sanderson. Cruz hitting at 209 starting tonight's game, but he's knocked in 19 big runs for Cincinnati. Nothing in two. Looking right in on Gary Carter. Got him. Same spot, good fastball, and this time Cruz offered. So Sanderson records his first strikeout. See that fastball again, outside corner, good pitch. Cruz tried to hit that ball to right field, but he missed it. 2 men out. Here's Paul Blair. There you see Blair giving a little bit on that breaking ball. Upstairs, it's 1-0. Premier center fielder in the American League for so many years with the Baltimore Orioles. There's a beauty. Right back to the breaking ball, counts even. Al talked earlier about Paul Blair being released by New York. Thought about quitting baseball. Acquired by the Reds. Ball one, strike one. Good fastball. Ball one, strike two. The Expos trying to hang on. They lead by 3 at 5-2. Going outside. Nice play by Carter. There you see what Sanderson did in shot hitter's last win. 4 scoreless innings. That was started, I was going to say, Al, he had started 20 times. He's been put back in the bullpen by Williams.
That was last Wednesday night when he and Schotteter combined on the shutout, Dan leaving with a stiff arm.
High breaking ball. Gary Carter wanting an appeal on that play, but there was no offering by Paul Blair. Full count now. It's traveling time for bench at second and Ray Knight at first base. You see Blair each time on the breaking stuff give a little bit. Front foot flies out toward third base. Runners go. Got him. That ends it. The Reds pick up a run here in the 6th inning. So at the end of 6 full innings of play, it is now Montreal 5 and the Cincinnati Reds 2. National League Finals, the Cubs beat the Dodgers 2-1. McLaughlin the winner. Sutcliffe lost it. Braves over Philadelphia behind Phil Niekro's 16th win of the year. San Francisco and Pittsburgh 5-5 in the 6th, that game being delayed by rain. Houston behind Joe Niekro after his 17th win of the year, 4-1 over New York in the 6th. San Diego behind Gaylord Perry, 2-1 over the Cardinals after 6 innings. The Expos come to bat in the top half of the 7th inning. It'll be Spire, Sanderson, and Cromartie. Spire tonight, nothing in 2 trips. Bounced to short, struck out swinging. Mario Soto in the air, in the short center. Joe Morgan makes the call. He's got it 1 down. Mario Soto, third Cincinnati pitcher used in tonight's game. Freddie Norman started. Almost unbeatable in this ballpark. He's got a great record here in Cincinnati, but not tonight. Worked 2 innings, started with 4 runs on 6 hits. Sanderson in the air and out of play behind the Montreal dugout. out to be a rather comfortable evening here in Cincinnati. Had heavy rains all day today. Stopped about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Had brief showers at the start of the game. The game delayed about 20 minutes. Very comfortable now. One strike on Sanderson. Look out. High, tight fastball. Ball got away that time from Soto. Saw that ball just run in on Sanderson. Here it is again, a high, tight fastball. Watch this ball just keep boring in on it. Talk about movement on a fastball. Look at this. Yeah. Wow. High and tight. 1-1 pitch. Sidearm drill to left field, a base hit. How about Sanderson? Soto with a high, tight fastball, then dropped down to sidearm style, and Sanderson ripped him hard to left field. He's a wide bat.
That's the first hit for Montreal since the 4th inning when Parrish hit his second home run of the night.
Here's Warren Cromartie, 2 for 3. Single off Norman. Lead off in the first inning and scored. Single against Norman again in the second. And Mario Soto wants a new baseball. Sanderson with a jacket at first base. Philippe Alou. There he is. Talk about tough and hard players. Montreal first base coach. Philippe Jesus still playing in Houston. Player coach down there, coach Matty Alou. Former teammate of Felipe's, coaching at third base for Montreal. Ossie Virgil. There he is. And there's Cromartie. Third base side. Ray Knight. Not in time. Beat it out. Look, that ball may have a chance to go foul, but Knight made the play. It was right along the line. And Knight, once he had picked that ball up, he had to make the throw. It looked like it had a chance to go foul. Right along the line. Look how far in foul territory it was when he made the throw. And Cromartie beat it. So the Expos with 2 on, 1 out. And it brings up Rodney Scott. For 4 tonight with a run scored. Out of play by Scott. 0-1. Scott, as a left-handed batter, hitting at 226. From the right side, 293. Take a look at George Foster playing in left field. He's only about 40 feet off the line for Scott. Play him to hit the ball toward the opposite field. Hard stuff from Soto. Look at Foster. He's only about 40 feet off the line and now moving closer to the line in left field. Play Scott as a left-handed batter hit that ball toward the opposite field. Cruz about 100 feet off the line in right field. Manny Sarmiento in the Cincinnati bullpen. Strikes to Scott. Nothing in 3 trips. Got him. Sinking fastball around the inside quarter. And that is strikeout number 2 for Soto. Scott Sanderson, the runner at second. And Warren Cromartie at first base. 2 men out. Andre Dawson coming on now. Singled back in the first inning and scored. In the third, he was called on strikes. In the 5th inning, thrown out by Dave Concepcion. Johnny Bench out to the mound for a couple of words with Mario Soto. The Expos lead by a score of 5-2. Mario Soto. Baby-faced right-hander. Hard-throwing right-hander. Dawson. Outside, off-speed stuff. 1 ball and no strikes.
If you're listening to this on any YouTube channel other than Classic Baseball on the Radio, be sure to check out the YouTube channel Classic Baseball on the Radio. This game was first posted.
Started. Bad story. In the 4th inning. Soto in the 6th. Is hit a foul on the third base line. What a bad pitch. High fastball from Soto. Ball 1, strike 2. The Expos on the year 167, lost 51. The Reds 69 and 56. The Reds lead the series 4-2. Battling division championships. Montreal chasing Pittsburgh, and the Reds chasing Houston. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tap foul. That one got a piece of Johnny Bench. The Reds back in early July trailed 10 games to Houston. They've made a charge. Montreal led these. Overhauled by Pittsburgh. Trailed by 4 games last week. And closed the gap. They've cut it in half. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2 on for Montreal with 2 men out. With good power. Foul tipped and Bench hangs on, and that ends it. So the Expos fail to score here in the 7th at the end of 6.5 innings of play. Montreal 5, Cincinnati 2.
America, if you want full-size room, ride, and comfort with impressive fuel economy and cruising range, the 1979 Caprice and Impala offer a 33% increase in fuel economy over the 1975.
This is it.
An estimated 336 miles of city driving on a tank of gas, 441 miles on the highway. This is it. And now you could save hundreds of dollars on a new Caprice and Impala because Chevy's Best is on sale. See your Chevy dealer now.
Super automotive values from Sears. And now get the full power of the maintenance-free Sears 48 for a full $7 off its regular low price. Now on sale, the Sears 48, $42.99 with trade-in, you save $7. Now save $24 to $40 on a set of Ford SuperGuard belted tires. On sale now as low as $32.88 each. At Sears, where America shops for value.
You're bringing home your new baby and your wife, and gather round the people who mean so much in your life. Oh, come on and take the happy way. Come on and have a happy day. And I love the day.
Other scores in the American League tonight. Baltimore 3-0 over Texas. That game in the 8th inning. Boston trailing Minnesota by a score of 7-2. The Yankees 14-1 over Kansas City. The Royals having problems. And the Brewers leading the White Sox by a score of 4-3. That game in the 6th inning. Later on tonight, Cleveland, California, Detroit Oakland, and the Blue Jays play the Mariners at the Kingdome in Seattle. We go to the bottom half of the 7th inning. The Reds trailing the Montreal Expos by a score of 5-2. And back to call the action for you. Here's Al Michaels.
All right, Lucas Cesar Geronimo comes up to pinch hit in the bottom of the 7th inning. Batting for Mario Soto. Reds relievers have done the job tonight, coming on after Norman didn't have it on his 37th birthday. And the Reds trying to work their way back into it as you look at Doug Bear in the Cincinnati bullpen. He'll face Montreal in the 8th inning. Scott Sanderson working on Geronimo, looks to the curve for a strike. Cesar hitting .252. Got off to a very ragged start this year, but has been playing well over the last 5 or 6 weeks. 5-2 Expos. Foul back in the count, 0-2. Dave Collins is on deck. And we'll see Joe Morgan. Anderson in relief of Schachter. Up and away in the count, 1-2 on Geronimo. The 1-2 pitch. High. 2-2. Sweeping a weekend series from the Mets. They've won 3 straight. Montreal coming in having won 4 in a row. 2 clubs in very similar positions. Both knocking on the door. The difference is in the National West, it's a 2-team race. In the National East, you can't discount anybody outside of New York. 5 teams within 7.5 and 6 weeks to go. 2-2 on Geronimo. Look at the standings. That's the moment. Dodgers and Giants each 13 back, so it's Houston against Cincinnati. 1-on-1. 2-2 pitch is fouled away. If you're wondering, Houston and Cincinnati have 5 games remaining this season. They meet each other 5 times down the stretch. 3 here. Foul back. 2-2. Tom Seaver, by the way, is going to pitch tomorrow night on 3 nights rest, or 3 days rest, and then Mike Lacoste will work on 3 days rest here Wednesday. The reason John McNamara is doing that, since they normally work on 4 days rest each, is that by working them with 3, they can each face Houston twice. Fouled away. So you can see that the Reds manager has been thinking ahead. Barring injury, he has plotted his entire starting rotation for the balance of the season. So he knows the way it'll work now. Seaver and Lacoste will work once each on 3 days rest and then face Houston twice more the rest of the year. 3-2. Too, Al, is Geronimo leading off, trying to keep that leadoff batter on, not walking him. He's throwing a lot of hard stuff, all fastballs, 1 breaking ball, the rest all hard stuff. Geronimo keeps fouling him away. It's on a 3-2 pitch now. The Expos 5 runs, 9 hits. The Reds 2 runs, 6 hits. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Bouncing ball toward the middle, but Scott is over to play it back. Second, throw, and get him. Collins is the batter. Collins coming up left-handed for the first time tonight. He's 0 for 2 plus a walk. Attendance tonight is 31,865. The Reds are down in attendance. A little over 250,000 down, but still they've figured to draw about 2.4 million. The strike to Collins. And the count 0-1. Really by 10 games July 4th, Al. I'm sure that hurt him quite a bit. Right back to clicking things now, though. Hit into left field for a base hit. So with 1 out, a single by Collins in the 7th inning. One of the few breaking balls that Sanderson has thrown. A curveball up on Collins. He makes it in left field. Listen to those boos from Morgan as Joe comes up 0 for 3 tonight. Hitting .239. The pitch to Morgan. A strike. 0-1. So a tough year for Joe. Again, as was the case last year. Mainly due to injuries. The 0-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Good changeup that time by Sanderson. Down low and away, Al. Pull the string out of him. Morgan way out in front. 0-2 the count. Fastball away. 1-2. Popped up, shallow left center field. Cromartie coming on and makes the catch. And they're really doing a number on Morgan as he goes back to the dugout. And he's really going bad, Al. That's normally a pitch that Morgan is really going to handle and handle hard. Drive someplace hard. Little pop up in the short left center field. Kind of a pitch that Morgan likes to hit. Hard stuff. Tough years. I never knew the difference, you know. That would have been a good year for you, 240. They were all the same. Here's Concepcion. Davey takes low, ball 1. Montreal 5, Cincinnati 2. 2 out. Collins at first base. Davey wants to make sure all the stitches are in place before Brocklander throws it back out to Sanderson. They're not. You're right. Yeah. One seam was a little bit off. I think Davey's looking for a title at 3. Foster hits every ball. I think it's a title at 3, doesn't he? What a sound. Woo. George waiting on deck. 2 out. Bottom of the 7th inning. Collins at first. 1-0 pitch is strike. 1-1. Straight back. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count. Held on by Perez. Up, perspires, says he'll take care of it, and does for the Reds in the 7th inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left, 7 full in the bucks. It's Montreal 5, Cincinnati 2.
Right guard knows that in equally active situations, men and women don't perspire equally. Men perspire more. That's why men count on Right Guard. Right Guard is so strong, so effective, it helps stop a man's perspiration odor all day long. Yes, men and women don't perspire equally. And that's why men count on Right Guard. Strong, effective Right Guard. Because men perspire more.
Best Zenith ever, System 3, is even better. Even better. The sharpest Zenith picture ever. Sharpest picture. And all modular chassis. Designed to be the most reliable Zenith ever. Most reliable. And now, better sound. 4 speakers. Audio jacks. Even an audio control center. Better sound. Zenith. System 3. System 3. Now, even better.
Boy, did I save money on this hat.
Yeah?
We smart shoppers compare prices.
Wish we could do that with our homeowners insurance.
Compare with Allstate.
Compare?
Bring in your homeowner's policy and compare rates. Odds are Allstate might save you some money.
We can save you some money.
It does pay to compare.
Oh, it sure does. Love your hat.
Oh, hey, where'd you get the hat?
You're in good hands with Allstate.
And that's a promise from us, the good hands people.
In the 8th inning, Tony Perez takes a breaking pitch outside. Ball 1. Doug Bear working in relief for the Reds. Facing Perez, Carter, and Valentine. It's 5-2 Montreal. Inside, 2-0. Perez has singled, homered, grounded out. Bear, the 4th pitcher used by John McNamara. High ball 3. 3-0. Bear was the ace of the bullpen, and I guess you still have to consider him the ace, but Tom Hume has been more effective of late. 8 wins, 15 saves, his 52nd appearance. Just for a strike, and a count 3-1. Line to right. Cruz there. Makes the catch. 1 out. Gary Carter will be coming up. Base is empty. 1 out. Well, the man in the yellow shirt. The Duke. I tell you, if we can inject some personal philosophy or commentary, there's a man who should be in the Hall of Fame. He's coming close. Great center fielder for the Dodgers. Now a broadcaster with the Expos. Works with Dave Van Horn on the English Language Network. Popped up, foul ground. Knight coming over. Ray has to play and takes care of Carter for the out. 2 down. Bill Snyder, still living in Southern California, but working on the Expo Radio Network. And coming up this Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports, the Little League World Series from Williamsport. You'll see at 5 Eastern and Pacific 4 Central. Red Barber and Mel Allen will be there to broadcast the game. Allen, of course, the fabled voice of the Yankees for years, and while Red did some broadcasting for the Yankees, better known as the voice of the Brooklyn Dodgers for many years, especially during the years when Snyder was there. In for a strike and a count 0-1. So Barber and Allen will be in Williamsport for the Little League World Series on Wide World this Saturday. Valentine is swinging a miss and the count 0-2. From boyhood, I know you. Monitor. He could play, Al. You were second. Later on, of course. Yeah. 0-2 pitch. Grounded to the right side, and Morgan is there. Back of the line. Throws him out. And the Expos are gone 1-2-3. End of 7.5. Expos 5. Reds 2.
You know, trying to run a Major League Baseball club isn't all fun and games. The pressure's always on. And for guys like us, there's no off-season. So when you wheel and deal as much as we do, you can't afford to get filled up. That's why we drink light beer from Miller. It's got a third less calories than the regular beer, and it tastes great, too. How about the trade? How about throwing in Bud Harrelson? Let's see. Bud Harrelson, Gates Brown, and Mudcat Grant. Right. The two Blue Powells and a Ferris Payne.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
I want a Frank Malzone.
But for a very, very limited time. Already, thousands of people have taken advantage of great deals on our best. Special factory incentives to dealers means you can still save big on Chevrolet Caprices and Impalas. Save big on Caprice and Impala wagons. Save on Monte Carlo. Plus, Chevy pickups, Chevy vans, Chevy Blazers, and El Camino. But hurry, time is running out on the sale of Chevy's best.
Oh, hello, Bill. I thought you usually closed at this hour.
Not when I promised a job for 8 a.m. That's how I run my business. Almost all Texaco retailers are independent businessmen like me. Texaco supplies and helps me a lot, but I set my hours, my prices. It's my business.
Anything you say, boss.
Texaco, over 30,000 independent businessmen working to keep your trust.
Bottom of the 8th inning, 5-2 Montreal. Middle of the order for the Reds. Foster, Bench, and Knight. Montreal, 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth. Did all their scoring early. The Reds with single runs in the second and 6th innings. Foster struck out, fly to center. Hit a bullet into the seats and left. 1 for 3. Scott Sanderson trying to save it for Dan Schatzeder. 5 for a ball. 1-0 to count. Foster just recently back in the lineup. So George still getting his timing down. He certainly got it down in the 6th inning.
He got his timing down in about 3 seats out in left center field.
Here's the 1-0 pitch. Outside, ball 2. 2-0. Houston leading New York 6-1. Lecro going for his 17th. Swing and a miss. 2-1 the count. We'll see Bench next. runners in the game. All with the bases empty. 2 by Parrish, 1 each by Perez, Finch, and Foster.
Carter that time, Al, set up inside on Foster, and Sanderson missed down low and away. Trying to get inside on this guy. You better not knock first. Just come in.
Now back. Full count on Foster. Draws a walk to lead things off here in the bottom of the 8th inning, and we'll see Johnny Banks. This telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball, intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. Johnny Banks is 1 for 2 plus a walk, facing Scott Sanderson. Sanderson, interestingly enough, like Schatzader, who preceded him, makes his home in the Chicago area. Scott lives in Northbrook, Illinois. Born in Dearborn, Michigan. In there for a strike in the count 0-1. Banks hitting .266. Johnny 14 home runs, 57 runs batted in. 0-1 the count. Don't get the call at first. Ball 2. 2-1. There's Zach Davison. Tony Perez upset at that call, Al. Thought that bench went around far enough. Look at Satch. Satch looks like he's out of the cast of West Side Story, doesn't he? Yeah. That's right. Don't mess with me, pal. 2-1 pitch is foul back, and the catch upside your head. Smack you one. That's Davidson. Yep. Had Leo Dorsey standing alongside him, you'd have something. Bouncer to third. Backhanded nicely by Parrish. To Scott 1 to first. Double play. So Banks hits into a DP. 5-4-3. And Rodney Scott, despite some problems, got out of sync momentarily at second. Still had time to turn it over.
Boy, here's a good play by Parrish. Backhanded stab on a short hop. And the throw at second in plenty of time. Look where Foster is. As Al said, Scott had plenty of time to come across the bag. He had a little problem getting the ball out of his glove, but plenty of time to retire Bench on the other end.
2 down, bases empty, and Ray Knight, 2 for 3. Has singled twice. He's lifted his average to .321. For a strike. I took a little informal poll in the Reds clubhouse yesterday as to who some of the players felt was the MVP on the club this year, and they said this man right here.
What a Ray Knight. Ray Knight.
Yep, sure is. Up high, 1-1.
What a confidence builder a season like this is for a guy like Knight. Al, who played sparingly here before Rose left. Now all of a sudden, big man here in Cincinnati. Good career ahead of him.
Has his head together, too. He knew what he had to face going into the season. Hard worker. With a lot of hitting in the offseason. 2-1, built a batting cage in his backyard. Hit all winter. Hit all spring. He's hitting all summer. Yes, sir. Two and one to count. There. Tony takes care of Knight, and the Reds taken care of in the 8th. So we'll move along to the 9th at Riverfront. Montreal 5, Cincinnati 2. Back after this word from our local station.
The leader in television is now a leader in television news. Watch ABC's World News tonight.
There's something that we all can do to help our country make it through. Save a gallon, save a gallon, save a gallon of gasoline.
I'm saving.
We're saving.
I know a lot of ways for my customers to save gas, and I'll be glad to help you any way I can.
If we use some ways to stretch our share, we'll show ourselves we really care. Save a gallon, save a gallon.
We're saving.
I'm really saving.
Save a gallon of gasoline.
My sign says for sale, but my interior says forget it. So does this dull vinyl top. How can I sell a car that looks like this? Son of a gun. It's from STP.
Son of a Gun restores and beautifies the appearance of vinyl, rubber, and leather.
Looking good. Now the dash, upholstery, tires.
Son of a Gun restores and beautifies the appearance of vinyl, rubber, and leather.
How can I sell a car that looks like this? Son of a gun.
I'm Judy Womack. A former quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers is in stable condition at the University of Maryland Shock Trauma Unit. I'll have the details when Jerry Turner joins you with Eyewitness News after the game.
Baseball fever. Catch it. I caught it.
The preceding was a message on behalf of Major League Baseball.
Ninth inning in Cincinnati. Larry Parrish is the batter. 5-2 Montreal. Doug Bear behind on the count 1-0. Misses in the third, ball 2. 2-0 on Parrish. Spire and Sanderson to follow. With the Reds bat in the bottom of the ninth inning, they're due to send up Cruz, Blair in the pitcher's spot. Foul down the right field line, and the count 2-1. Parrish has homered twice tonight. Hit one off Fred Norman in the second inning. Hit one off Frank Pastore in the fourth. And then Mario Soto struck him out in the sixth. So Larry facing his fourth different pitcher. Parrish with 2 homers tonight. First time this season he's hit 2 in the game. He has 19 for the year. Again. And the count 2-2.
Leader, Al. Ellis Valentine leads the Expos with 20.
We talked about how they were balanced average-wise. They're balanced in home runs. Valentine and Dawson has 18. Carter has 17. Look at the Mets. So it's been feast or famine tonight for Parrish as he's homered twice, and now he has struck out twice. One away. Well, coming up, the World Cup Track and Field Championships. 3 days of coverage beginning Friday night, 9 Eastern time, then Saturday at 3 Eastern, 2 Central, Sunday, 3 Eastern, 2 Central. The most important track and field competition outside of the Olympic Games. You'll see it on ABC. 3 days of coverage from Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Chris Spire looks to the strike, and the count is 0-1. Is 0 for 3. Comes up hitting 216. 1-1. Montreal 5 runs, 9 hits. The Reds 2 runs, 7 hits. 2-1. So the Expos on the verge of another victory, which would be their fifth complete, fifth in a row. Hanging in, not folding. I don't think they're going to fold either, you.
I really don't, Al. You know, they've been there all year long. Fell 4.5 behind last week. Cut that in half. Playing right there. They're having a good time. Dick Williams. Per man in this ball club, Al. They say no pressure. It's kind of hard to believe, really, that some of these guys have never been there before. Talking about the championship type series, that final month when you got a chance to win it all. And they say per man, we're not nervous.
Easy to say.
Easy to say is right. I have to agree with you. Although a lot of it may come from Dick Williams. He's been there a couple of times. Boston, Oakland, there he is. Smiling. Had him last Monday night in Houston. Same way. They lost the ball game, but you never know it.
Loose group. It's an interesting club to watch. 3-2 pitch is high, ball 4. So 1 out, 1 on. Sanderson will be the batter. Rusty Staub. Picked up from Detroit, back in Montreal, where he was the big guy when they came into the league. Early, he was the big name. Try to build the whole attraction around Staub, and then Rusty leaving, going on to New York, Detroit, and then coming back. Provide a little insurance, come up as a pinch hitter from time to time. Spell Perez at first base from time to time. Sanderson bunts foul on the count 0-1.
Dick Williams said that he wouldn't hesitate to put Staub in the lineup. Now playing at first base, in the outfield. He said, I know he's not as fast as he was years ago, but he said if he had to do it, he would.
He's a good guy to have on the bench, especially in a pressure situation. The Expos coming down to the final 6 weeks. He's been there before. Strike one pitch is outside. 1-1. Rusty played on the Mets pennant-winning team of 1973. You're looking at Spire at first base. Chris played on a team that won a divisional title, so he's been through the pressure before. Played on the Giants in 71 as a rookie, a team that won the division. And of course, Perez all the years here, so he knows what it's like. In for a strike in the count 1-2.
Yeah, it's got to be a big help. Dave Cash,
right? Pittsburgh and Philadelphia.
I just got to believe, Al, that somewhere along the line, when this thing really winds down, Dave Cash is going to figure someplace.
Bunted foul, and so Sanderson is gone. He strikes out. Campbell, Spire along, and they are 2 away with Warren Cromartie coming up. September will be very interesting, especially in the East. Just looking ahead at the Montreal schedule, they will close their season at home. They close it in Olympic Stadium, the final weekend of the 3-game series with Philadelphia. Pittsburgh finishes at home against Chicago. Cromartie hits it foul into the bullpen, 0-1.
Every one of those clubs, Al, still has a chance.
Right. Cardinals
Cubs
still in it, 7.5 back. Cardinals will close the season with the Mets in St. Louis. Just looking ahead to the last weekend of the year. The Reds will close their season with Atlanta here in a 3-game series. Houston will have to close its season in Los Angeles.
American League East and West. Still tough. California on top in the West. Baltimore, 4 on top in the East. Well, the Minnesota Twins, Al, hanging right in there in the Western Division. Gene Mark is taking that ball club, platooned well all year long. Gotten a mile of work out of Mike Marshall. Been a year of big surprises. There are the standings as of the moment in the American League West. Kansas City still right in it.
0-2 pitch is high, ball one.
In California, about 10 days ago, Al, they started a big homestand in Anaheim and really had a chance to really pick up some ground. They were playing clubs that were really out of it. Detroit went out there and swept California, played them very tough. Oakland played them tough.
Tramardi hits a one-hopper to Morgan. Bill Fields throws him out, and that's that for Montreal here in the ninth. So the Reds will come up in the bottom of the ninth at Riverfront with Montreal ahead 5-2.
I like pickles, but they don't like me.
Send your stomach some Digel. I like pizza, but it doesn't like me. Send your stomach some Digel.
Digel's special combination of antacid and anti-gas ingredients gives you fast, gentle relief from acid indigestion, heartburn, and gas in just minutes.
I like hot dogs, but they don't like me.
Send your stomach some Digel.
If you're still using Desenex for athlete's foot, here are some things you should know. Fact, in independent clinical studies, the medication in Aptate has been proven more effective in killing athlete's foot fungus than the medication in Desenex. Fact, Aptate kills athlete's foot fungus on contact. Fact, doctors recommend the medication in Aptate 14-1 over that in Desenex. 14-1. That's why we say Aptate is better, really better.
Update the scores. The Cubs won this afternoon, beat the Dodgers 2-1. Suter got his 32nd save, saving it for Lynn McLaughlin. Atlanta has defeated Philadelphia tonight 5-2. San Francisco and Pittsburgh reigning at Three Rivers. Last report we had San Francisco and the Pirates are tied 5-5 in the sixth inning. Houston leading the Mets 6-1. Joe Niekro is 3 outs away from his 17th win. And in the seventh inning at Busch Stadium, St. Louis leads San Diego 3-2. In the American League, Baltimore has defeated Texas 3-0. That's the 17th win for Flanagan. Singleton homered. Minnesota routing Boston in the ninth inning 10-2. And in Kansas City, the Yankees having a field day. They got 7 in the second, 4 in the third, 3 in the fourth, lead 14-1 in the sixth. The Brewers lead the White Sox in the eighth inning 5-3. They're underway at Anaheim. Cleveland got 3 in the first. Detroit at Oakland, and Toronto at Seattle just starting. Here it's 5-2 Montreal in the bottom of the ninth inning. Hector Cruz leading off against Scott Sanderson, who came on in relief of Dan Schachter in the sixth inning, trying to save it for the Expos starter. Looks at a strike. Junior Kennedy is out on deck to bat for Paul Blair. And then we'll see another pinch hitter with Bear spot third. There's Kennedy on deck. Bouncer wide of third by Parrish, backhanded by Spire, but Chris has to eat it. A base hit for Cruz, his second of the night. Second hit off Sanderson. So Cruz is on. Ron Plaza, the first base coach, over for a word with him. The Reds, as you can see, they've won 15 games in their final at-bat, including yesterday's win over the Mets when they got a run in the bottom of the eighth inning. And that was the difference. They won it 6-5. Junior Kennedy to bat for Blair. In the bullpen, the left-hander is Woody Fryman. And the right-hander is Stan Bonson, who hit his first career home run yesterday. Kennedy takes high, ball one. Junior hitting 276. He's done a good job off the bench. Morgan's missed a lot of action this year. Kennedy has filled in well. A strike, 1-1.
A situation now where you look back when McNamara used Spillman earlier in the game against the left-hander, when he hit him against Schachter. Here's a situation now where you need that left-handed batter. Spillman's gone.
A strike. He has one more left-handed batter, and there he is, Dan Greason, on deck to bat for Bear. Sanderson ahead on the count, 1-2 on Kennedy. 5-2 Montreal with nobody out. Bottom of the ninth inning. 1-2 pitch, got him looking. Called strike 3. So Junior Kennedy looks at 3 strikes. 1 away.
Pinch hitting for Paul Blair. Here's that last fastball by Sanderson. Target by Carter right there. Outside corner, strike 3 call.
Dreesen, the batter. Dreesen sat down tonight at the outset because of the left-hander Schatzeder. Danny's struggling. You can figure why Morgan's having a bad year with his injuries and all. Dreesen is perhaps the biggest mystery of all, though, on the club. Nobody can figure it out, not even Danny. Here's a fellow who should be a 300 hitter, who has hit 300. Mired at 241. Another strike, and the count 0-2.
Dreesen normally, Al, is ripping at those kind of pitches, but he's having that tough year. Sanderson right down the pipe with 2 fastballs.
Here's the strike 2 pitch. Danny takes outside, ball 1. Dave Collins on deck. 1-2 to Dreesen. Fouled away.
Not messing around with Dreesen at all. All hard stuff.
Sanderson has struck out 3. Cruz at first base, 1 away. Reds trail by 3. The 1-2 delivery, high and outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Dreesen.
Hard stuff here, Al, and Carter sits inside, trying to get high and inside on Dreesen. Oh, they go with off-speed stuff.
2-2 pitch is high, ball 3.
Well, Dreesen taking 2 strikes. Sanderson had him nothing in 2, and now it's fallen behind 3-2.
Ball count. 3-2 pitch is fouled away. So last Wednesday, it was Schatzeder and Sanderson combining for the win and a shutout in Houston. The two trying to combine for a victory tonight. 5-2 Montreal. The 3-2 delivery got him swinging. So Sanderson has now struck out 4. Including Kennedy and Dreesen here in the 9th inning, and with 2 down, it'll bring up Collins. Collins is 1 for 3 plus a walk. Collins trying to keep it alive. If he can, Morgan would come up with the tying run. The pitch is low, ball 1. 1-0 the count. Sanderson. This is only his 8th relief appearance of the season. He's made 20 starts. Trying to pick up his 2nd save. Here's the 1-0 pitch. High, ball 2.
A lot of credit has to go to Dick Williams for taking a guy like Sanderson, Al, as you said, started 20 times this year, to go to the bullpen, and a lot of understanding from a guy like Sanderson. The manager comes up and says, hey, look, you've had problems starting. Try to get you straight now. We need a little help in the bullpen. We think you can pitch that way. And what a job he's done.
And we're trying to win a pennant.
Yes, sir.
Here's the 2-0 delivery. Taken high, ball 3. Sanderson wanted to know where that one missed. The count is 3-0. So Collins stepping out of the box momentarily and getting an obvious take sign from Russ Nixon at 3rd. With a tying run on deck, the 3-0 pitch is a strike, and the count is 3-1. The 3-1 pitch, Collins fouls it away. So the count is full. And we'll see Cruz off and running from first base. 2 out, Cruz at first, 5-2 Montreal.
Here's a guy out, you got to lay it right down the pipe. I mean, from the opening pitch on. Runner at first base. Cruz. I mean, from the opening pitch to a guy like Collins, he's only homered twice all year long. He's going to throw right down the pipe.
But he walks him, and that means he faces Morgan. So 2 on, 2 out for Morgan. It's been a long night, 0 for 4 in a long season. Joe hitting .238. So Morgan with a chance to be a hero. And we'll see whether or not Williams will make a move, and Dick is going to the mound, and he will make the move. It'll be a former Red, Woody Fryman, who will come in from the bullpen to face Joe Morgan. So with 2 on and 2 out, Dick Williams will bring in his left-hander. Here comes Fryman. So Woody coming on with 2 on and 2 out. In the bottom of the 9th inning, 2 and 5. 6 saves for Woody, a 3.29 ERA. And he is their key left-hander. He is the man left-handed. The only man left-handed.
Right.
In the bullpen outside of, looks like Rudy May, who's not normally used in short relief.
Art Grimsley, who's been stuck in the bullpen, too.
Right.
This guy got off to such a good start this year, Al, and then really faltered. He really had problems. But, you know, when you look at this guy, and I think it's been said year after year, this could be his last year, his last pitch for that matter, every time he goes out. But he keeps coming back. As I said, got off to a good start, pitched very well, then went through a period where he just couldn't get anybody out. He had control problems, pitching from behind, and was hit very hard.
So Morgan, watching a former teammate. There's Joe, warm up. Joe coming up with 2 on and 2 out. Bottom of the 9th inning, 5-2 Montreal. The Expos have led all the way. 2 in the first, 1 in the second. The Reds got a run in the bottom of the second on benches homered. Montreal with single runs in the 3rd and 4th. And the Reds got their second run in the 6th on Foster's homer. The runners, Cruz at second, Collins at first, 2 out. And Joe Morgan hitting .238, 7 home runs, 25 runs batted in. Time called. As Fryman looks around at his outfield alignment, they are playing Morgan in the outfield as a dead pull hitter. Capital D-E-A-D. Cromartie is well over to the gap in left center as Fryman backs off. A look at the defense. Valentine well over toward the line. You can see Dawson in the gap in right center and Cromartie in left center. Morgan takes the first pitch low, ball 1. 1-0 the count. Fryman again to the plate. A strike. The count is 1-1. Morgan calls time. Fryman likes to work in a hurry. In the dirt. Ball 2. 2-1 the count. On deck is Concepcion.
Situation now where you got a guy like Morgan. And a tough night tonight. He's ahead in the count 2-1 to Woody Fryman. You got to sit on one pitch here in this situation. You got to be looking for the express. I would assume he would anyway. 2 balls and a strike. A ball you can hit hard and drive someplace and hopefully hit it out of here and get the Reds back to a tie.
Fryman's having a tough time finding the baseball he likes. Probably looking for one that feels like a sponge.
Or that'll stay in the park, right?
Yeah. 2-1 the count on Morgan. 2 on and 2 out. A strike to Joe. So it's 2-2. their final strike. Down even 2-2 on Morgan. Ball 3. So a full count. The Reds will have the advantage of having the runners moving. Cruz at second, Collins at first. 3-2. The payoff pitch to Morgan is hit in the air to shallow right field. Valentine coming in, underneath it, and that's that. The Expos have won 5 in a row. So Morgan is tonight going 0 for 5. Fryman gets the save. There are the totals: 5 runs, 9 hits, and no errors for Montreal. 2 runs, 8 hits, and no errors for Cincinnati. Shots into the winner, Norman the loser. We'll be back at Riverfront after this message and a word from our local station.
Saturday, a movie preview of a new fall adventure series, Heart to Heart.
Designer Willie Smith uses one word to describe his fashions for this fall: color.
And he uses lots of it in versatile, affordable looks for the fashion conscious on a budget.
On the next People Are Talking, Willie's favorite model, his sister Tookie Smith, will show you how they put together a fall wardrobe that really works.
And marriage encounter weekends are very popular, but they're very expensive.
Family counselor Tom Thompson will give you advice on how to have your own marriage encounter at home.
Join us on Channel 13's People Are Talking, Tuesday at 10.
WJZ-TV, Channel 13, Baltimore.
Montreal wins it 5-2. 5 runs, 9 hits, and no errors. 2 runs, 8 hits, and no errors for the Reds. Shot saved to the winner with Fryman getting the save. Dan is now 9-4. Beats the Reds for the first time in his career, and Freddie Norman loses to the Expos for the first time since Freddie joined Cincinnati in 1973. So the Expos have won 5 straight, pulled to within a game and a half now, pending the outcome of the San Francisco-Pittsburgh game at Three Rivers Stadium. Our thanks to researcher George Hill, Al Michaels, and Bob Euchre saying so long from Cincinnati. Final score, 5-2, Montreal. Next week, ABC's Monday Night Baseball in an effort to bring you the best possible game depending on the pennant races. You'll see either Houston at Montreal, Cincinnati at Philadelphia, or Milwaukee at Kansas City. Check your local listings for the time and game in your area, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6:30 Pacific. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United is building the largest airline in the world around you. ABC's Monday Night Baseball has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.
Saturday, a special movie preview of a new fall series, Heart to Heart. A couple of jet-set adventurers on the trail of their best friend's killer. And Sunday,
you're going to be gone before you know it.
He's a best-selling writer and a hard-nosed cop. Dennis Weaver is Stone.
A setback for a Baltimore Eagle. Judy Womack and Instant Eye, Phyllis said. Rent control backers keep on fighting. And the Orioles come back fighting. I'm Jerry Turner with Bob Turk and Klaus Wagner. We'll have those stories and more coming up next, right here on Channel 13's Eyewitness News.